Hello. Hopefully everything is working. I don't know. There's been some wrinkles, some hiccups. How is everyone? It's been a week. All right. And I've got some audio feedback here. I don't know which window that's from, but so what's everyone got to drink? How's everyone doing? I say it's been a week. It's literally one day into the week. Um I I had a migraine on Friday, and that sucked. There's really nothing good about those. So, but Saturday I got to go shooting, which was fantastic. I'm just seeing Rachel Mills saying, "Tired, exhausted, emotionally. The week started off with a bang with a verdict." Is that referring to a trial I'm not following, or is that one of your verdicts? That would be awesome. Professor of Logic, coffee as always. Fat yoga with red wine, nice. Claude Simeon going fancy with a Manhattan. I love it. Lambrusco, awesome. Secret McSquirrel asking if I'm doing all right. I am doing pretty good. It's, you know, it's not so bad. Everything is all right. And I see here people. Oh, Jacqueline B, I'm suffering from a migraine right now. Yeah, I find that when I get one of those, the only sort of cure for it is to be asleep before it gets full gear. So the chat, I gotta say thank you to the chat because people in the chat were going, "Hey, get off, go to bed," because it was the right call. So I see some basic whiskey, nothing wrong with that. Tea with French vanilla cream, awesome. Yay, pew pewing. Yep, it was a lot of fun. Migraine tonight, so why not rest and watch Runkle? Hey, if I help, that's fantastic. I will try to avoid sort of flashing lights or loud noises because that. Oh, XXX Temptation. I haven't been following that one. How did that one go? Um, love a case of the Mondays. Office Space fans united or unite. Yeah, I should. I should really get a red stapler for this one. Peach tea. That's awesome. I picked up something I'm probably going to break open here. It is a sparkling peach wine. It is delightful in all the best ways. So I may have some of that. My wife will probably be annoyed because she's like, "Hey, we should try this," and I'll get another bottle when she gets back. So after a week at an all inclusive, I'm drinking water and catching up on hydration. Yep, I'm guessing there was a lot of drinking at the all inclusive, but I'm guessing very little of it was water. So that's just sort of a common problem there. Let me just switch my. I've got my Discord sending me all sorts of notifications. I just need to switch that over to streamer mode so it's not nagging at me. There we go. All right. No drink, living off of spite today. You know I'm here for that. Uh, that works for me. Andrea B, I only drink water always. Fair enough. Energy drink and homework. That was my jam all through school. In fact, it's still kind of my jam. So that's kind of a good way good way to go there. How was the taste test? We'll run that. I'll see if Rob is able to pop in. I don't know if he is or not. I sent him an invite, but I don't know what he's up to tonight. But yeah, we will. We'll see what's we're going on there. If we can, I'll try to have him watch that one because I think that's fun. Can I slow chat a wee bit? Yes, I will throw on. I'll slow the chat down. Got to make sure it's navigable for the mods here. All right, slow mode. We'll start at 60 seconds. Sorry, folks. And I'll probably set it to subscriber only on the who can send chats just because that tends to be good for anti-bot stuff. Survived the Surströmming. I did not die. That, in the old, but did you die? I did not die. So I'm doing all right there. All right. Did I get to go to the shooting competition? Yes. I have a little bit of video footage. I can't play it yet because I always sort of agree that the shooting competition is always, they sort of ask that we, basically check with them to make sure that we're not giving away their secrets or that kind of thing first. So I'm going to follow that. So people saying, did it smell bad? It did a little. We'll talk about that one too. So yeah, it's been a bit of a week. We've got a few things to talk about. How I hope everyone's feeling well, because yeah, we got some things to chat about. It's weird. I've had some people asking me about the Gwyneth Paltrow lawsuit, so I guess we can talk a little bit about that. Although it's not really my my usual jam, and quite frankly, I think it's that one's going to be interesting. Let's pull up what I have been talking about, and what a lot of people still have questions about. And this is from TikTok here. I did a video on this one, but I'm still getting questions about it. So let's just see if I can throw this one up here. All right. It's just going to take me a little moment. Just got to navigate to the right folder here. And
it's no biggie.
The cops are here. We had to do a breathalyzer test because
You were weaving in and out of traffic.
yeah, that annoys me so much. That person who's sitting there going, you were weaving in. Don't tell the cops that. Unless you hate this guy. If you really hate this guy, then that is then that's absolutely what you can do. Yeah. But nope, she just throws him right under the bus. It's just exceptional here.
We received a traffic complaint from the OPP.
Oh wait, it's not going. So, yeah.
We received a traffic complaint from the OPP, advising of a possible impairment. You're swerving in and out of lanes.
Yep.
So now I'm here to administer an alcohol screening device. So right now I demand that you provide a sample of your breath into an approved screening device for proper analysis of that breath to be made.
Okay.
I mean, somebody sent me another video that said that this is not lawful. And I got to disagree, because there is a section that says so long as they have reasonable suspicion, and reasonable suspicion they can get to in all sorts of ways. And a driving pattern can potentially be reasonable suspicion, and reasonable suspicion can potentially be transferable. And what I mean by that is that if you get somebody who, like one officer who says, I have suspicion, and then they tell another person that, then that officer who only heard from the first officer can then have reasonable suspicion. And yeah, somebody's saying that the way it starts, it sounds like he answered the door and the cop said why, so he started the TikTok. The woman was repeating what the cop said. Maybe, but it still sounds like she is accusing him. Certainly the officer would put that in his notes. So yep.
For you to accompany me for that purposes now.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah, I understand.
Okay, so I'll demonstrate it once. I'm going to turn the machine on.
Now, lots of people at this point said, hey, I would just close the door and, not go and refuse. The problem is that in Canada, you can't refuse a demand without facing penalties. So once he's gotten this far, where he's opened the door, he's admitted he was driving, or at least they've got, those he can't do that without facing those charges. And the punishment for that charge is in fact exactly the same as the punishment if he were to just be convicted for driving drunk. So that was, once he's at this point, he's already screwed. So that's not a good move at this point. At this point, he's already stuck. People are saying, I still don't understand how a 3-hour window would be legal for this. The law says they can demand it. The law says that so long as they, that it's illegal to be drunk after driving. And we'll talk a little bit about why that is, why that law was put through. But yeah, the law seriously says in Canada that it's illegal to drive and then get drunk, which is bizarre. And I see, couldn't he have come home and chugged a beer when not driving? Yes, except that they can still convict him of being drunk after driving. So that is, that's a whole thing. So let's keep going here a little bit.
Oh my gosh, the police are really here. What the heck is going on here? Do you guys actually need backup for this?
You take one deep, we roll in pairs. So you take a deep breath in, make a tight seal around the tube.
See, the funny thing is that everyone is laughing about like, oh yeah, do you need backup? But the officer actually tells him why those guys are there. Hey, yeah, we roll in pairs. And sure, it's because they want to have more force.
And blow out just like you're blowing up a balloon. So and then it'll click.
Okay.
It'll stop. It'll think for a minute, and then it says 0 because I don't have any alcohol in my system. Okay.
Now, I mentioned this in my video, but the reason why the officer is doing this is not just to show this guy that, how the machine works. It's also, it's straight up to gain evidence, to show that this machine is working. So this is part of the evidentiary process here.
Think you can do that?
Absolutely.
All right.
How you guys doing? Good.
Hey guys.
Now he says absolutely. There are people who struggle with this. If you have lung issues, if you have those kinds of difficulties, this can be quite challenging. Chris Mullen is saying, did he just put that in his mouth first? Yes. The mouthpiece on that, like the little tube that goes into your mouth that you breathe on, that is disposable. It's replaceable. And in fact, if you blow over, that mouthpiece will end up getting put into a bag and will be evidence. So, yeah.
No offense, I just want to know, like, do you guys need all these people here?
So he's getting trained by that fellow
I
there.
got you. Okay.
And when I show up alone, they always send a second person just in case things go squirrely, right? Because imagine if you were impaired, some people don't want to get arrested, right? It'd be a big fight.
Yeah.
So let's translate this. These guys are all here in case we have to beat your ass. That's why they're here. If we got to, they're gonna lay a beating on you. Just hey, it's hilarious, isn't it? But we're totally here to lay a beating down on you if we got to. So I see somebody saying mouthpiece steals your DNA to put in their database. They shouldn't be saving DNA off it, but there's no guarantees that they won't try that sometime.
So I'm gonna pop this fresh straw on for you.
Okay. Are you nervous?
Me? No, I'm not nervous. I already passed my test. All right, my man. So deep breath.
He does have a good sense of humor. I'll give him that.
And breathe out. Hard, hard, hard. Keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going, keep going. Perfect. And it's gonna think for a second. And it says 0. You're golden, man. All right. I'm not sure where the complaint came from. Maybe you were on your phone.
No, I don't. No.
So let's just say he blows over, right? At this point, he would be facing charges, and he would be getting an immediate suspension from driving. He would be in a, he'd be in a difficult spot. The other thing to consider here is that these tests have some difficulties. One of those difficulties. So let's talk about how this test works, right? Because the test assumes, as a fundamental assumption, that it's relying on lung alcohol. And what I mean by that is that you shed alcohol as time goes on, right? If you are smashed drunk, the process of getting less smashed is that your body is going to sort of get rid of that alcohol over time. I think I'm a little washed out. I'm trying to turn down the light a little bit here. But you do that in various ways. And, some of that's going to get processed into other things, but some of it is that it comes out of your lungs. You actually breathe some alcohol out. That's why people who've been drinking have that alcohol smell to their breath, right? You are actually breathing out alcohol. Now, the machine assumes that it's measuring lung alcohol, but that might not be the only source of alcohol that's getting into the machine. Let's say you've also got a drink. I see, did I go to black and white? Hopefully not. Hopefully there should be some color in the screen there. But let's say you've just had a drink of something alcoholic. All right. So now I've got some alcohol in my mouth as well. And the alcohol in my mouth, even though this is a weak drink, there's like 1 ounce in that entire big glass. Even though that's a weak drink, it's still way more alcohol than you would normally be breathing out. So if you go and breathe into the breath machine right there, the approved screening device, then you're going to blow way over. You're going to blow a lot. There's other circumstances that can get alcohol into your mouth. For instance, let's say you just finished throwing up. That'll get alcohol into your mouth, assuming there's alcohol in your stomach. Let's say you burp. There's all sorts of things. Let's say you might spill alcohol on yourself and there's alcohol in the air that you're breathing back to the machine. So that is all of these are potentials and they will throw it off. So the officers should be waiting a certain period of time, ideally, if they suspect that there's mouth alcohol. But you might not actually want to tell the officer that you've just been drinking. So, you're sitting here going, you've been having a nice drink. Officer comes to the door and now he wants you to blow. Well, you've got a tough call, because if you tell him you've just been drinking, well, now you're providing him with evidence to help convict you, even if that 15-minute wait time would be potentially useful. This is a bit of a problem here. So people have asked, I got it here in my... so one person is saying, quick question about the breathalyzer test at home. Does DUI have a mens rea element to it? Is that not a defense if you drank while already at home? There is a defense for if you drink after you get home, but it requires you to go to, you have to go to a specialized doctor. And those specialized doctors actually go and, they'll put alcohol in you, by the standard method, you'll drink it. And then they'll wait and they'll see how fast you process that alcohol as you go. And so, that's expensive. That's think that's going to cost you like 10 grand for that. So that's a whole pile of money in order to use that defense. I see another one here, and this is a worthwhile one. Mouthwash can set it off. Yes, this is a really bad one, because sometimes people will see that there's an officer and they'll go, oh no, the cops. I'll just, rinse my mouth out with some mouthwash so then he won't smell that I've just had a beer. And that one beer might not have thrown you over the limit. I mean, you shouldn't be drinking and driving at all, but one beer, you're probably within the limit. And so then, but because you've got that mouthwash in your alcohol, or you've got that alcohol in your mouthwash in your mouth, when you go and you blow, it's going to blow an insane level there. Now, if you fail that breath test here, they'll take you back to the station and they'll test you again with a more accurate device. And theoretically, they should, theoretically at that point, they should be watching you for more than 15 minutes so that you're not going to have the mouth alcohol problem. But they may not take you back and test you. They might issue you, in some provinces, they might issue you just a provincial suspension. And so you're just off the road based on that provincial suspension. Or they might take you back and, you're going to end up getting, it's going to ruin your entire evening. Now, lots of people are asking this. This is an important question here. What if he hadn't opened the door? Well, if he hadn't opened the door, they wouldn't be able to come in without a warrant. Police officers are a lot like vampires. They can't really just come into your house because they feel like it. They have to either be invited in or have a warrant. And I see caught, better call DUI guy plus. Not in Canada. He's not going to be able to help you out here. He's got very different rules. Like DUI guy talks about, don't blow into the breath machine. Well, in Canada, that's extremely bad advice. So in Canada, that's trouble. So this is really the only answer, is that if the police are at your door and you don't answer the door, the police are almost assuredly not going to be able to get a warrant to come in there. At which point, what do? Well, they knock real loud. They say, hey, we got to talk to you. And then eventually they give up and go back to the station. They say, we couldn't get the guy. He wouldn't open his door. And I see, but they'll be pretty pissy if you force them to get a warrant. I'm pretty sure they couldn't get a warrant just based on this. I would be very surprised if a judge signed off on a warrant, because they need more, like they hear a car was driving, bad, and people pull up into their house and they walk in. Which person was it? How do you know it's the same person? Usually a lot of this is because people have admitted things to the officers. Hey, I'm talking about your driving. And yep. If you say, oh yeah, I was just driving, I just drove home. That's enough. You've given them enough now to possibly come after you. I see it takes more than 3 hours to get a warrant. Almost always. Yep. So they're just gonna vanish. Retired RN here. We used to play with ours, used hand sanitizer and blew illegal. Yep. Hand sanitizer is most varieties of hand sanitizer. I say most because not all. There are non-alcohol hand sanitizers, but the hand sanitizer you typically buy is like super high alcohol content. So people will sometimes steal hand sanitizer in order to drink it. That's like serious alcoholic behavior. That's not sort of casual behavior, because they also put stuff in hand sanitizer to make it really unpleasant to drink. But yeah. How long do you have to wait after driving before you can have a drink? Theoretically, 3 hours. Practically speaking, who's going to do that? Because if you get home at 5 o'clock, you're waiting until 8. So, yeah. Sending a message off. All right. So I see, what is the limit in Canada? In my country, it's 0.02. It's 0.08 here. 0.02 is real low. Now, I say that the limit is 0.02. It's actually that there's two separate limits. Two separate limits apply. It's illegal to drive while your blood alcohol is 0.08 or higher. And it's also illegal to drive if you are impaired by alcohol or drug, period. So if you are able to, if you're intoxicated, if your driving ability is impaired by, then it doesn't matter how much alcohol you've got in your system, you are committing an offense. So even if you are, even if it's just a beer, if one beer is knocking you out so that you can't drive, then, then that's the limit. This applies especially to some people who have medical conditions. If you have a medical condition that makes it so that alcohol affects you more than other people, well, then you can't drive if it's interfering with your with your abilities to drive. I see they can't come in for any reason without a warrant. If they knock, don't answer. If my house smells like pot. Now, there are limits. There are circumstances where they can come in without a warrant. One of them is that if they are in what's called hot pursuit. And hot pursuit is not like, hey, we heard you committed a crime just a moment ago. It's in fact, it's like, hey, if you're actively pursuing them. So let's say the police see you commit an offense, at the park, and you run for your house and you slam the door in their face. And the police are right behind you, but you manage to throw the lock. Well, the police are coming through that door because that's hot pursuit, right? They're right on your heels. And I'm hearing that there's a bunch of gifted memberships. I can't see them because, of course, YouTube sucks. But yeah, I'm going to try to keep up with that if I can here. Yeah, that's one exception. Another big exception is if they think that somebody might be inside in trouble. If they think that somebody is actively in danger. So the most common, like a real good example of that is, let's say you call 911 and scream into the phone and then hang up. When the cops get there, they're going to come in. They will, do that. And the other thing is that they can often force that even if all you do is you call 911 and you hang up. So it's really important if you call 911 by accident and you you just pick up the phone and you aren't paying a whole lot of attention there, and you end up dialing 911, you need to make absolutely certain that you tell them, sorry, it was an accidental call. Yeah. And I see KT saying, sorry, but driving is a privilege. Either drink at home or pay for Uber or a designated driver. I'm sure a lot of people would change their mind if they're injured or worse, yet someone gets killed. I agree. But if you just, the flip side to that is, if I was driving a moment ago and then I get drunk, when I get home, that doesn't endanger anybody. Now, a lot of people have said, hey, why is it like this? Why is there a circumstance where they, why did they ban getting drunk at home if you've been driving beforehand? And in a few rare circumstances, what had happened was that somebody goes and they get into a car accident, and right after the car accident, they whip out a bottle. And I'm leaving the cork on for this demonstration because I don't need to get this smashed. And they just pound back the booze, right? And so after that, it becomes very difficult to prove that you were drunk while you were driving because you slammed booze back after the fact. Now, this is kind of a rare circumstance. It's the only people I've heard of getting, into this circumstance are police. This was a trick that the police have pulled, but I've never actually seen anyone else do it. Yeah. So it's a bit of a headache on that one, because basically they set this up for a specific circumstance. Now, I actually think that they could have legislated this in a better way. What they should have done, in my view, is instead pass a law that says that if you obstruct justice in an impaired investigation, that itself is something that is punishable. But that would have been, that would have made more sense, right, than just banning people. And this one makes me a little, a little confused, right? It's like, why are we actually creating? We're really, the defense they're trying to eliminate here is that they're potentially eliminating a defense of factual innocence. So, yeah, it's not something I'm super happy with. All right, so let's sort of cover a few things. Alan Fortenberry, thank you very much for the membership. Much appreciated. time, I never drink and drive. I go to the store, buy my alcohol, and go home to drink. I blow drunk within half an hour. Yep. Lots of us, drink when we get home. It's, I don't drink to excess a lot, but sometimes it's enjoyable. Yeah. If they can't come in for any reason without a warrant, if they knock, don't answer. My house smells like pot. Your house smelling like pot is not going to be enough for them to come in without a warrant. Might be enough for them to get a warrant, but probably not in Canada because we've legalized marijuana. But let's say your house smells like a meth lab, which is a little bit different than just smelling like pot. If your house smells like a meth lab, they might be able to apply for a warrant and they might get one, but they can't just go, oh, we're pretty sure there's crime going on here and we're going to let this in. So we're going to let ourselves in. Barney Cat, I love to gift memberships for Uncle of the Bailey. Oh, I missed that. All right. He's done immense work with Indigenous people, and I really appreciate it. I'd love to see him get to his dream of YouTubing with pro bono on the law side. Well, thank you very much. It's the stuff that goes on with sort of Indigenous people in Canada is rough. So a lot of my pro bono work has been aimed in that direction just because the police over scrutinize Indigenous people. I don't know what the actual rates of committing crime are. I suspect they're just a direct correlation with poverty. But yeah, it's tough to say, but the police definitely over scrutinize Indigenous people. So yeah. What's to stop the police from just knocking on doors at 5:30 looking for people who drink after getting home from work? Theoretically, they could just straight up watch people drive home, wait for 20 minutes, knock on the door, and then say, hey, was that you driving? Oh, it was? Great. I'm gonna ask you to blow into this thing. So, yeah. So, thank you very much, Kathy, for the super sticker. And I also want to thank Against the Tide, who's been keeping up on the super chat or on the gifted memberships. So Brentwood Chic, thank you very much for the 5 memberships and then 5 memberships again. Much appreciated. Chris Mullen, thank you for the 10 gifted memberships. And Barney Cat, thank you for the 20 gifted memberships. So all of that, very much thank you. And I've accidentally called 000, which is the 911 equivalent in Australia a few times years ago when my cell phone used to bag dial. Emergency services called me back to ask if I was okay because they could hear people talking. It's totally a thing. And that's one good thing about 911 as the emergency call, because at least it's not the same button being hit repeatedly. Because, although a lot of phones will have functions where they can just end up calling 911. So just got a message that I accidentally stole somebody's jacket. So just trying to make sure that gets back. Could you please explain the way that this eliminates the factual innocence defense one more time, if you please? Well, let's say I drive home, right? And I'm sober. I'm factually innocent of the whole driving while drunk thing, right? And then afterwards, I drink myself stupid. Well, it basically creates a crime of being drunk after you get home to eliminate the defense of somebody else, of I drank after an accident or whatever else. But it basically also eliminates the defense of I was just sober at the time. So that's a problem. And I see it's 112 in Europe. If you ever come here and need to call an emergency call. One thing I do appreciate is the last time I was in Heathrow, they had big signs for all of the people coming in from North America going, emergency services is 112, just so that you know that one. So did I steal Rob's jacket too? No, I was out. So I don't know if you guys know this, but Canada does this thing where it's super, super cold. And like it's frozen out here. So I went to this shooting match, and when I went out and what is it? I forgot to bring a bunch of my cold weather gear. So somebody who was there lent me a jacket that was a windproof jacket, and it was really nice of them. And he just left before I could give it back to him. So I tried to find him afterwards. But the good news is that the guy I borrowed it from he's a regular there. He's always one of these guys who's he's often there. He's competitive. He's, and so forth. So I'm going to get it back to him as soon as I can. So yeah, we're just going to make sure that that'll happen. See, Runkle forgets to dress appropriately, needs ties and jacket. I will probably try to run a match in like a suit sometime, just for the giggles of running a match in a suit. But that's not going to be until it's a little warmer and maybe a little less muddy, because when it starts to thaw, it gets soupy, and soupy is not good. You don't want, like, it can get real damp. So yeah, it was t-shirt weather today though, Runkle of the Bailey. Kind of. I mean, I was out playing with the dogs earlier, and the dogs certainly don't have any problem with that. They love running around on that in that. So yeah. I see Runkle only steals clothes from his close friends. Yep. Thaw season is so gross. I can tell you, thaw season in my backyard is going to be pretty miserable. This is because, so the vet asked, I'll just do a little, segue here. I took Potter to the vet recently, and one of the questions they asked is, how are his poops? Like, are his poos a good texture? Which I thought was a weird question, because it's like, hey, listen, I just want to let you know, I don't go and squish the dog poops. Like, I'm really not testing them out. But the other thing is that they are solid about 5 minutes after they drop, because it is frozen out here. So, yeah, around spring season, when it starts to thaw, all those poos that have been there all season, those melt at the same time. So the backyard's going to be epic. Thankfully, there is there's a company here. It's run by it's this wonderful business. It was actually started by a guy with some intellectual difficulties, and he basically said, "Hey, I don't mind doing this." In fact, apparently he enjoys the work in the sense that it's just kind of a puzzle kind of thing. And so he's got a business where you pay him and he comes by and cleans up dog poop. And he is an absolute lifesaver in the spring. My favorite person. So, yeah. You can clean that up every other day, not in the winter. I can tell you, it is frozen solid to the, like, if I wanted to clean that up right now, I'd need to do that. I'd need to be out there with a chisel and a hammer. So, I mean, maybe, but yeah. Don't they usually dry out? Not in the winter. In the winter, they just freeze solid. How much does he charge? Not much. He's actually quite reasonable. I think it's something like $25 an hour or something. It's not bad at all. So, yeah. But yeah, it just gets cleared up there. And so, all right. So let's sort of, let's see, what kind of puppies do I have? Let me see if I can lure one of them in. Zara. I'm going to try to lure a dog. I see. Next subject, please. Okay, we'll move on. Zora, come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Yep, there we go. There we go. Oh, who's a good pup? Who's a good pup? So far, she hasn't chewed the Ethernet cable out to my garage yet. I have managed to... so here's what I've got so far. I have got the thing laid along the ground, and it is... I've got boards placed over top of it. I then went and in the sort of at night when it was cold, I poured some water over them. It initially froze, and then we're getting to thaw season, so it melted off in the heat. So it's just boards laying over top of it. I've got a clothesline coming, and when I have that clothesline, I'm going to run the cord in the air. And so at that point, I'll hopefully be able to prevent the dog from getting to it until spring. And once the ground is properly thawed, I'm going to hire somebody to come out and just run it underground. And then the dog can't get to it. So is Zora from a game? No, Zora is actually named after a court case. So I hear empty bottles. You actually hear full bottles. I got a bottle of whiskey. I got a bottle of whiskey. That's what you hear. So what's this? Somebody saying that they try using a Wi-Fi extender. I did. It doesn't work. So underground dogs dig. We're going to put it way underground, and it's going to be in conduit. It's going to get done properly and professionally. So, yeah. What court case? It was the court case of the Queen, as it was at the time, and Zora. And that is a bail case. I've got an entire video about it. And I see people are saying that they are stressed out about the open door. Let me... I'm leaving the door open a crack. And that's so that so that Zora can come in. People are saying, where's Potter? Potter is being fairly chill. He's taking a nap. Full bottles. Does that mean we got some bad news videos coming up, or is it just general prep? It is general prep. I moved some bottles in here so that I can have them for while I'm doing the stream. And Canonical Heat, thank you very much for the 10 gifted memberships. I also hear a rumor that we might have somebody popping in soon. So I see Secret Labs customer support. Zora's a good girl who is not sitting wrong. So, yeah. What is your opinion of the non-confidence motion? I'm going to have to see if they actually pull the trigger on that one, because that's a bold move. So for people who don't understand Canadian politics, if the government loses what's called a confidence motion in Parliament, then the government fails. The government is done, and it's got to be a new election gets called. So that's a thing, because the government has threatened that they're going to make a confidence motion on the issue of election interference here in Canada. And so that may mean that they are basically going to force the other parties to decide if they want an election, if they want to call them out for issues of Chinese election interference. Because there's a whole big thing about China interfering with Canadian elections, and it is nuts. So, yeah. See, not Wi-Fi extender, but Wi-Fi link. Ubiquity is ours, allowing 1.5 kilometer link at 300 megabit per second at 200, 300. That's actually sounding pretty good. And we've got another face here. Hello. How are you?
How's it going?
Oh, it's going all right. It's already been a week.
Does it feel like Wednesday or Thursday to anyone else? No, just me.
You know that I got a hangover midway through. Well, I felt it coming on before. I actually felt it on coming on when I was doing all the like hauling ammunition around. I think I just overstressed myself and kicked it into gear. And then I ran a shooting competition with a migraine hangover.
Oh,
Because you
with
get that
the
like after migraine effect.
percussive. Yeah. Oh, why would you do that to yourself?
Because I wanted to shoot the shooting competition.
Okay, but oh my gosh.
Now, to be fair, I double up on my hearing protection. So
Yeah.
the percussive effect wasn't that bad, but I will still say
squishies in the ear and then muffs
yeah,
over top.
yeah. And I mean, I will still say that the shotgun, still, it still feels like something for sure. Because yeah, it was a bit of a fun time.
Yeah,
And then
well, that's one version of fun.
And then yesterday I decided, so my wife is off on a vacation. She's off. I have to work. So she's doing her thing. And she's with a friend of ours having fun there. I decided basically that this was the perfect time to break out the Surströmming.
Why?
Because she's not around.
Oh, tell me you didn't do it in the house. I know you didn't do it in the house.
I didn't do it in the house. So I went and I did this sort of the smarter way, which is I couldn't get the proper flatbread. But what I did do was I made potatoes with sour cream and onion and chives, and I had those ready to go. I opened it outside in a pot of water, and because
So you made something that was edible and delicious, and then put something that was not on top of it.
I mean, the thing is that whenever you've got these sort of, I guess I'll call them cultural foods, people eat them, right? So there's got to be something to it. And sometimes they're just amazing, but sometimes they're also god awful. So it's hard to, it's hard to know. And I would always have wondered if I didn't try it. So,
well, the Vegemite is another one. Small
I've tried
doses,
that.
Maybe. But
I mean, the thing about that one is that it's actually pretty good so long as you spread it real thin.
Really thin. Really thin. Yeah.
And in fact, that is what, Australians or the British will tell you with their respective very similar products. Sorry to both the Australians and the Brits who both argue about, Vegemite versus Marmite. But yeah, it works pretty well. And so we'll just I actually video recorded it. So you can see. Of course I did.
Of course you did. Let's see. Do you have it?
I do. I'm just bringing it up right here. All right, so here we go.
Oh, that's too cold.
Trying to do this sort of as traditionally as possible. So I've got some sour cream and potatoes and all of that. And I'm not going to do the stupid thing, which everyone seems to like to do, which is to open this out in the air. Now, I'm sure some people are thinking that the stupid thing is, in fact, trying the Surströmming at all.
That was my thought.
But, yeah, it is super cold, and you can actually see those brown lumps are, in fact, frozen dog poops. So
why? No. We moved on from the dog poop.
Oh, fair enough. I also have the proper Scandinavian weather here for this. Instead, I'm going to try to open this underwater. Listen for it.
Oh.
Little puff here. That's coming from the video. Smell is not great, but
Better thee than me.
dying. Burble. Yep, it does bubble.
Ugh. Why? That meal looks delicious as it is.
It off, basically.
What whiskey does one pair with Surströmming?
Akavit. Because it's, Scandinavian.
Pungent. But, as I said, I'm not dying. I also have some Akavit here.
I don't even know how to unhear a sound.
Fillets,
Nope, I don't want to see that. Ew.
maybe.
Why are you mixing it? Oh no!
I don't know if I'm supposed to eat it with bones or not.
Oh, no, Ian, oh, no, not in the pot.
Lost one in here. Go back.
No,
in
don't
there.
bring it back out. Oh.
Pick that up. Probably don't need the fin.
There's a fin? No, there's no fin, no.
I mean, it's like canned,
All right,
it's
there we
like
go.
canned, sardines or whatever that come with bones and so forth.
Not bad.
What?
Not fantastic.
It's stringy. Why is it stringy? No. No.
That's all right.
You can hear the dogs. That's from the video.
I like that
think
you're
I've already described the
contemplate life.
taste. It is kind of a fermented taste.
Ugh.
There's way more in a can than I'm going to be able to get through, though.
Oh, let's just go right back in. Yep, sure, why not? Oh, that fell right apart.
Oh yeah, it was pretty. The consistency was kind of mushy.
And then did you like wash your hands and stop stringing? Why are you playing with?
Now this, I think, is... I had this in a cupboard for way too long, and I understand that it keeps fermenting at that point. So I suspect it's lost some of its texture and gotten a little softer than it's supposed to be.
Oh, Ian,
Zora is concerned about my safety.
I am
She's
too.
worried that I'm doing stupid things.
I don't like this.
She's not wrong.
You're just going right in now. Yep, just keep on. Why not?
I've had worse meals, I can say that. This is not bad.
I just every bit of judgment.
It's cool.
Drink all of it.
It does go nicely with the Akavit.
Bet it goes nice with battery acid too. I don't know. Oh,
Yeah, the skin is stringy.
A little stringy in places.
He's yep. That's cool.
I don't even notice the smell at this point.
The smell's actually not so bad if you open it underwater.
and it's freezing outside.
And it's freezing outside, yes.
Now this can is fairly expensive to import, so I'm probably not going to get another one anytime soon. But
Where's the hot sauce?
I didn't... It doesn't really go with hot sauce.
Now, are you eating faster because you're freezing your butt off, or are you eating faster because you just want to be done?
It was more the first one, believe it or not. I was... It was pretty cold.
I don't understand your palate.
somebody's dragging something along. A little chilly out.
Why would you put garbage on top of well-cooked potatoes?
Yeah, that's about what it cost to bring in. It was not cheap.
The potatoes are a lot of food.
And then did you just proceed to wash your hands in bleach?
I did wash them very carefully because, yeah, I just didn't want to.
So yeah,
Just didn't
not
want
bad, not
to
fantastic.
sort of risk any smell there.
KT, I see he has acquired tastes. That's the taste I don't want to acquire.
Kind of has a taste like a bit of a Worcestershire sauce.
It's Worcestershire sauce.
Kind of taste to it.
I'm mispronouncing it. Meanwhile, Zora is going nuts.
Probably had enough potato, so I think I'm gonna wrap this up here. But yeah, give it a try. It's not
Nope.
not
10
as
out of
bad when
10,
you eat
do
it
not
properly as
recommend.
The internet would tell you. So, cheers.
I don't understand why you did that. I mean, I
wanted
do,
to try it.
but I don't. Oh,
And I see to really enjoy Surströmming, just wrap it in a flatbread and inhale it down. I didn't have the flatbread. But why? Because I wanted to try it. So, yeah, I mean, it wasn't bad. I ended up eating the rest of that plate later on. But yeah,
what
I
do you,
did
what
end
do you
up
do with the
tossing it.
can? Do you treat it like nuclear waste? You just bury it 20 feet down?
I put it in a Ziploc bag and then put that into the trash. Because, yeah.
Why do I feel like the Ziploc bag isn't strong enough?
It might not be. So, but yeah, no, I mean, it was decent. How's Hippo? Did you finish the rest of the Surströmming? I ate about a quarter to half of the can. And then I didn't know a way to save it in the fridge because it is really, really pungent. And my wife would have very strong opinions if that's spilled in the fridge. So she would have had strong thoughts on that. So, as much as I wanted to try it, I did not want to risk being single if she came back and was like, hey, I kind of feel like if that spilled in the fridge, I would have had to buy an entirely new fridge.
And new kitchen. And maybe a new house.
Kitchen.
Like, that's one of those where you throw it in the trash can and you message the trash guys and you're like, hey, would you mind just taking the can with you?
Yeah. Hey, I'm sorry. So yeah, just, you just write spray paint on the trash can. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. The guy picking up the trash is like, I've smelled a lot, but that's enough. No.
Now, here's the thing. After I was done with that, I ended up, I poured the bucket of, Surströmming water out onto the snow there, and went and took it in and washed it.
And the dogs didn't roll in it.
Lots of people are saying, "Hey, what did the dogs think?" Potter sniffed at it and walked away. Zora ate the snow into like she ate all of that snow.
Yep. And Zora got no love for the rest of the week.
Zora is clearly my dog because yeah. I will say Zora's breath for about 2-3 hours was exceptional.
And then like the dog burps and the dog farts and
thankfully no dog farts, but yeah, she had some exceptional breath. So, yeah, it wasn't that bad. I mean, it's not something I'm likely to eat again. But it wasn't terrible.
The thing is, I always considered it. I have like an iron stomach. I really do. I can eat a lot. And then I met Ian and I was like, I don't eat that voluntarily without money and a bet. I'll do it for a bet.
I feel like bets really solve a lot of like those kinds of difficulties. Like,
They
hey,
really do.
like, what are we gonna? Oh, right, a bet works on this. Like,
I think it carries over from our childhood, like when parents were trying to like would wager or would basically say like, you know, I will give you X if you eat this food.
yeah,
And I don't
feel like
know, I don't know if they did that like out of their own enjoyment, or I know that I do that with my nieces and nephews for like lemons and limes and be like, hey, you know, take a bite of this and I'll give you some chocolate. And that's more for my enjoyment. And yeah, is that, you know, masochistic? I don't know. But
well, I also somebody sent me this.
I've got one of those. I'm terrified of that thing.
I am also kind of terrified of this thing, just because I don't know what it's going to be like.
Have you made the dumb decision of pulling up videos of people eating it?
I have not.
Don't do it. Well,
I'm guessing
maybe
there's a fair number of them just dying.
not dying, but the capsaicin cramps. Yep.
Oh yeah, no, that could be a
there's
bad thing.
some seizure.
Runkle, you, Ian McCullum, and Jackson Crawford need to go on to Finish Brutality and eat weird Finnish food. I totally would, except that Finnish Brutality is going to be expensive to go to.
Wasn't there a whole like a series of that, like on like Food Network or something, where they went untraveled and ate the weird foods?
I mean, I would do that. I actually tried to eat balut once, and I'm the only person to be disappointed about getting a defective balut. Because
Balut, is that fat?
Nope.
Is balut?
That is like a fertilized duck egg that actually, so it comes out and it's like a largely fertilized duck. So
well, my Monday was fine.
I'm not gonna pull up videos of it because you wouldn't like that. But yeah, I tried to get it and I got the one I got was unfertilized. So it was just an egg. And I was like, oh, that's disappointing.
Yeah. I feel like that comes with like a pagan like little booklet where it's like, here's this and here's how you eat it. And by the way, you might summon something you don't want to summon.
Somebody's asking, have I had Malort? I have not actually had Malort. I've smelled Malort.
Malort's not bad. It's just bad liquor.
That's just kind of the thing is Malort doesn't sound like it doesn't smell interesting. It just smells unpleasant.
It'll start a car.
It'll start a car. It'll start a car, but that car will forever after be a Pinto.
Yeah. Don't knock the Pintos. Those things, you could drive those into the ground.
Or into the air if somebody hits you from the back.
True.
The problem is while it goes into the air in all directions. You don't necessarily get to pick.
Now, Nebraska Jeff, MD 2020, call Mad Dog 2020. Those things were horrible. But when you were a kid, not saying this was me at all, but when you were a kid that was possibly under the legal age of consuming alcohol, that happened to be the thing that you could come across more than anything else. So you just kind of suffered through it, but not something I would voluntarily purchase.
So in Canada, we've got Boone's Farm. I don't know if you guys get that there. So see, the Inuit catch puffins and stuff a seal full of them. They then bury the seal for a year and let it all ferment. I wonder if that is like Surströmming, fermented birds in a seal corpse. I'd still try it. I
go back to the wager thing. Like if it was like a bunch of, and the thing is, I don't mean to say it, like guys do guy stuff, boys do boy stuff, and it's really stupid. Oftentimes, there's a reason that females live longer than males because males do stupid male things. They, by and large, they tend to. And especially if you get a group of them together and it's like, I bet you won't do that. And there's something about that stupid male ego where it's like, want to see? Watch what I can eat. Just, mm-mm, mm-mm.
This is not champagne. It's just a peach wine, but it does sparkle. It's delightful.
Sparkling peach wine?
It's not. They add peach juice to it, but it is. Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
I feel like you either go to the weird stores or when you walk into a store, you're like, I want to try something weird. And you have the reputation where there's one person you deal with and they're like, hey, we got this weird thing in. You're like, I'll try it. I'll do that every time.
I mean, this is actually pretty solid. I'm blanking on the name of the grape. Starts with M.
Moscato?
Yes. So it's a sparkling Moscato with peach juice added.
Okay, that's not terrible. We do a lot. Yeah. There's a lot of up and down the East Coast or up and down the Eastern Seaboard. There's a bunch of wineries that will do fruit wines like strawberry wine, peach wine, stuff like that. My sister loves that stuff. I can't drink it. I cannot drink it. It's like drinking like candy, and I'm not a fan of it.
This doesn't have any sugar added, so it's sweet, but it's not candy-like. Because so it's like it's a dessert wine kind of thing, but it's not like a it's not like a Boone's Farm or something like that.
I always thought the French did desserts the right way. When I was I always loved when I was in Paris, they would bring out the dessert menu, and part of the dessert menu was the cheese section of the dessert menu. Because I love savory desserts. I love savory desserts. Yes. Like, give me the cheese and wine, and I will sit there for hours on end and just, like that. I think, I opt for that as opposed to like the super sweet confections any day.
I entirely agree because it's a cheese plate is just a fantastic way to end a meal. But a cheese plate pairs nicely with a sweet wine. Yeah. Like a dessert wine and a cheese. Yep. Like a brie and like a dessert wine. Mm-hmm. I mean, it's just, that's fantastic.
I saw a video the other day that was saying, and I've seen multiple of the same iteration where it was kind of saying, who would have thought that the generation that grew up on Lunchables, their favorite thing to eat would be, a charcuterie board?
I kind of like charcuterie boards. They're pretty awesome. So
speaking of charcuterie boards, I'm actually I have a couple designs I'm trying to make on the CNC of charcuterie boards.
Oh God.
That's because people can't pronounce it. You ever hear people pronounce charcuterie and it's like it's charcuterie? I'm like, that's not how it's pronounced, but I see where your head is going. And I feel like I should make a serving board that is in the shape of a shark that says charcuterie.
You may have to send one to Emily.
And like everybody, because the second that I start making those, everyone's gonna be like, I want a charcuterie board.
Oh, for sure. I see somebody asking, anyone had a butter board? I totally would love to try a butter board sometime. I just haven't gotten around to it. But yeah, I mean, I loved eating in Paris when I was there because just they seem to have the right idea, like a lot of like butter and fat, and then afterwards like finish off with some cheeses and bread and
3-hour meals, and you're sitting and enjoying conversation. Yeah, the Parisians and the Italians and a lot of the European countries do it right when it comes to food.
Oh man, I was there. I've been there multiple times because Paris is awesome. But the one time I was there as part of like an exchange trip, and I went to just to this little tiny restaurant that was being run. I think it was like a family restaurant. And this guy was just like, hey, let me keep feeding you things. And I was like, okay, let's keep feeding me things. Because it was so good. And he just was like, here, let me bring He heard that I was Canadian, and he really liked that. So,
Well, it's the price of food too. I remember in Italy getting essentially a meat and cheese board, and you spend like €8, and all of a sudden you expect to get what you would get in the States when you spend that amount of money, which is here's a small little portion of cheese and maybe one little piece of meat. No, they bring out a tray of massive, like fresh cut meat and house made cheese, and you're just sitting there eating. You're saying, I spent €8 on this.
yeah.
Oh, so good.
And yeah, I mean, I've always enjoyed Europe trips. People are like, "Oh, the French are snooty and whatever." I'm like, I've never experienced that at all.
I haven't either.
I suspect it's partially because I speak passable French, and but also just if you're not a jerk to people, they tend to be not a jerk back.
That's the thing. Like, I don't speak any French, and I don't pretend to try, but also just don't be an a-hole, and they'll, generally speaking, be nice to you. They'll even they will be glad to help you with the menu, whether it's Italy, France. I've done it in the Czech Republic. Oh, Czech Republic's asking for good food too. That's like meat and potatoes type of food. Oh, I love it. And then I am always one for pies in the UK. My God, yeah.
Well,
I could eat all the food.
When I was there, and admittedly, this was like the one time that I'm thinking about was a school trip, like, and we were paired, like, because our group wasn't big enough, so they melded us with this other group, and it was a group that was from Georgia, and some of the people from Georgia were absolutely wonderful, but there was this group of like 5 or 6 who were absolute jackholes, and they were going around complaining everywhere we went. They were complaining that people were rude to them. And I watched how they were treating, like they'd go into a restaurant and they'd like snap their fingers at the staff and they'd be like talking down to them. And then it's like, no kidding. People treated you rudely because you were being rude back to them. And somebody's saying Georgia the state or Georgia the country, the state. So they were Americans from Georgia.
I see someone saying Barcelona. Yeah, Barcelona has some of the best food I've ever had in my life. And you see them bring out the big paella trays and they start cooking it in the morning, and the entire city just smells amazing. Yep. I can eat all the foods. I love all the foods.
Yeah, and I'm not talking crap about Georgia generally. I'm just saying that's where these group happen to be from. And yeah, some of them were really, really rude. It was yeah.
I see someone in the chat. Yeah, no, I can't do that. I can't do the Castilian. It messes with me. Barcelona. Like, it just messes with me. I can't do it. But yeah, amazing food. I would go on food tours. That would be my choice. If I want to go on a trip, I want to eat all the food. I want to just enjoy the evenings and the days and spend the day looking around and looking at history, and then spend the evenings just eating everything in sight.
Oh, I got to bring this one up because it's straight facts.
Gelato superior to ice cream? Yes and no.
Oh, no, straight facts. I walking around in Italy, I was spending so much time. My go-to was like lemon and melon gelato, which I could get just about everywhere, but like a sour and a sweet, like together. Oh my God.
Yeah. Like limoncello and gelato. Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yep.
Limoncello is fantastic because yeah, I drank way too much of that. So
yeah, a lot of people do. It's delicious, but if you drink too much of it,
it's a fantastic summer drink.
Yeah.
But
I never liked Venice though. Unpopular opinion. I know it's an unpopular opinion. I just could never get over. I think that was probably also the time I went. I went in the summer, and the smell of the canals in the summer, I couldn't get over.
Yeah, Venice gets hot and the canals are pretty filthy. my wife and I went to Venice in the fall, and it was still like it was still busy if you went to any of the big areas, but if you went like down the little side streets and so forth, it was empty, and so you could do a lot of exploring. And so long as you stayed away from like the big areas, it
Mhm.
was really nice. And the canals didn't smell because it was not super hot. I had a great time. I quite liked it when I was there. So I liked Venice a lot. But the other sad thing is that Venice is sinking. And so if you go, you can actually see like a bunch of houses where like the bottom floor is water because it used to be a floor and then it now is flooded. And
Well, I mean,
that's
that's what happens when you build there. It's the same thing as when you tear out mangroves and you eliminate a lot of the natural buffer and you just build on top of it and you wonder why your house might flood.
yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, it's just it was a really I was impressed. I liked it. I've got some glass dice from Venice. Now they were cheap, so they are not even, but they're cool. This is a good question. Could y'all do a play button for Pixie? I can make one.
I can figure something out.
Yeah, I can get on that because yeah, Pixie's awesome, and that the whole thing is so tragic because every time I see Corey on a video, I'm just like, it is so unfair. He's when you're seeing him there, he's I remember one of his videos where he's sitting there talking about, and I added a bunch of stuff for Pixie and for my sister and so forth, and I'm like, oh my god, if I was in his situation, I'd be just putting all stuff for me and because yeah, so
Yeah.
He's a good kid, and it's sad, but did you see we got a shout out?
I didn't get to watch the whole video. I was going to do that this evening before like bed and watch it. But I have trouble watching some of those videos just because
Same.
I have a little trouble watching some of them.
When you see him cough and it's like,
Yep. And I lost my dad to cancer, and I know it's not the same, but it's also seeing someone it's seeing that struggle that's hard and remembering kind of the family dynamic that exists around that time. It's difficult.
It's tough, and I'm just I can't imagine what they're going through, but I'm super it's tough to watch them sometimes. So
people asking, I do see people asking if he got his play button for me. He did. He posted it on Instagram and on Twitter. He didn't post an unboxing, and I have no problem with that at all. I made it for him, and that's for him. I'm glad he's enjoying it, and he did get it.
Yeah, it's like when I made I made a video afterwards, and I sent it off, and I was like, "This is yours. Like, you can show this or not or whatever, but this can go on your your channel, help build your sort of followers and so forth, because it's yours now, right?" That's kind of my thought.
Yeah, I've got the same thing because I saw you did that. I've got the same thing, but I pulled up photos. I have to mess with mine because I didn't get a lot of video of what I was doing, but I did take pictures along the way. So I'm trying to make a slideshow, and I'm going to send it along so that they can use that. I want to try and get it to a place where there's not a whole lot of editing work they have to do, and they can just use it. But I am working on that as well.
Yeah, that's kind of what I was trying to do as well, and like speeding it up and so forth, just because otherwise, hey, here's 8 hours of video for you to go through. It's not exactly a nice thing to do to Corey's editor. So,
I want to take all the work out of it because there's a lot of work I have to do to it. So it's taking time to actually edit it myself so that it's easier to just package it. They can put it on their channel, put all their branding behind it, and we'll go with that. I have no desire to I just want to do whatever I can that they can use that content as they choose.
Yeah, and I he's not he I don't want to sort of ever be, the guy using him to gain subs or to make cash or anything like that. All of that stuff I want to go to him because he's an inspiration, really. So, and I see Koru has done a lovely job editing his videos. Yes, absolutely. And yeah. So
I'm just trying to make that job a little easier. And I know Ian did too when he did the video of the leather play button. Yeah,
absolutely. And I see if we get Trees of Eternity back up, I bet Corey would love a guest appearance. I don't know if we can make that happen, but I mean, Trees of Eternity right now, Rick Hogue is, he's still recovering. And as much as he's doing fantastic, keep in mind, it's going to be a battle, right? There's going to be a lot to do there. And being on a live stream is tough.
And there are good days and bad days. And the problem is that when you're doing a live stream that's like a regular live stream, you can't really afford for that to be one of your bad days. And if you're in that recovery process and going through the rehab, you have good days, bad days, you can't control it. And you can't just turn off the difficulties that you're dealing with. And it's exacerbated when you're going through recovery like that. So,
and I mean, I miss hanging out with Rick. I miss hanging out with everybody on those. But at the same time, you don't want to overstress him, right? Because that's the other thing is if he's sitting there playing a game and if we play for, 2 hours, 4 hours or whatever, you got to be on for that 2-4 hours, right? And it's difficult to say, hey, guys, I got to bow out.
Yep.
So, and I see, I'm sorry, but who is Corey? Corey is or Crack in the Box, Captain Corey. And he is basically, he's a Make-A-Wish kid because he's had multiple heart transplants and his heart is now failing again. And, he's made the decision, which is a hell of a decision at his age. He's made the decision that he can't go through it again. And so he's sort of in palliative end of life care. He reached out to Johnny Depp as his Make-A-Wish. And he said, I want to get to 100,000 subscribers. And lots of us helped, but really he did the heavy lifting on that one. And Johnny Depp did some heavy lifting on that one, like credit where it's due, because Johnny Depp did a tremendous amount there. And most of us wouldn't have heard of him if not for Johnny Depp and all of that. And he's rocketed up past 100,000. So yeah, that's Ian, Corey loved your Hot One stream and he did a live on Popcorn Planet. His last wish is to go on holiday to Whitby if we can come up with a plan. Where is Whitby?
Whitby Island?
Yeah, I don't know.
Whitby Island is in Washington State off the coast. So it's
really?
It's in connected to the San Juans. I go up there every summer. My family's had a house on Blakely Island. Yeah, Corey, I mean, if he wants to go to Whitby, I'll give him the show around, take him out on a boat and have a good time.
We'll have to see about making that out.
Oh, Whitby in Yorkshire,
Whitby,
UK. Different Whitby. Man.
We'll have to see what we can. He's over 200K now. He's probably going to pass me, and I hope he does.
Yeah.
So, do you have a link to his channel? Could somebody drop a link in there? I'm probably not able to find
Tide was dropping it earlier. Tide had it. So
awesome.
if she drops it again, you can pin it or if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah, no, that's but yeah, we should probably there's a few gifted memberships I should cover here before I forget. And I see Trisha Lynn, thank you for the 5 gifted memberships. Sandra Ramirez, thank you for 5 as well. And Brentwood Chic, thank you for another 5. Thank you very much. And I am way behind on super chats. Kathy, thank you for the super sticker. Canonical Heat, reference Indigenous people, same here in the States. as an Indigenous American. It peeves me. Thank you. In a lot of places in the States, it sounds like Indigenous Americans have had it a lot worse, unfortunately. And that's not to say that Canadian Indigenous populations have had it great, but in the U.S., in some cases, there weren't a lot of people left. And, that's through horrific events that we don't want to dwell on, because Mondays are supposed to be, this is supposed to be a cheerier stream, but yeah. He also wants his mom to get a silver play button. So we should try to make that happen if we can. Let's see. I just put that one up. Hey, Case of the Mondays. Thanks, mate. Always good to have you around, Truffle Hound. Much appreciated. Brad saying, I guess Runkle can't do those pay to take a shot streams anymore. I have never done a pay to take a shot stream, and I probably won't. I might do a pay to take a slug out of a hot sauce bottle stream, but honestly,
pay him, though? He'll do it by himself.
That's the thing, is I'll do it anyway. So, yeah. Professor of Logic, leave the secret knock in your Amazon delivery instructions. Don't answer for anyone else. Personally, I have them knock Beethoven's Fifth. I'm lucky if they don't like 3-point yeet it onto my porch.
Oh no, Amazon! Amazon's they're the nicest delivery that we get around here. It's either FedEx or USPS who goes and tosses stuff. Like, I have a video on my Instagram page of literally, I think FedEx just yeeting a box onto my neighbor's driveway.
I have what do you call it? I have USPS or UPS rather, that'll show up. USPS is great because they just hand it off to Canada Post, who does a pretty good job. But UPS will show up at my door and they'll just leave the "sorry we missed you" thing, but they never actually had like the thing in their hand. And it's like, oh, right. So that annoys me. Bronca had a good video series talking about how using 9mm will almost certainly get you convicted due to the necessity of execution shots due to a lack of stopping power. There's been a lot of acquittals in Canada, so that may be a regional difference. Canada's self-defense laws are actually pretty solid. So we've had people who get acquitted after like dropping a 10-round mag into somebody. So, wait. Is Ian like Dolby or Tubby and needs people to give him clothes so he can be a free elf?
That's pretty good.
You heard about the jacket?
Yeah, that's pretty funny. I like that one. That's funny.
That
Dolby has been presented with a sock.
Or a tie.
Or a tie. Ian has received a tie. Ian is free.
Don Peterman. My son is graduating BMQ on Thursday. BMQ? I'm trying to think of that. And I'm traveling 7 hours to Quebec for his ceremony. Wow. Celebrating tonight because he's being transferred 40 minutes away from my folks. Please give a toast to my boy. Now I'm trying to look up what BMQ is. Basic military qualification. So I will absolutely toast to that because going through basic sucks. I'm not in the military, but I've dealt with lots of people who have, and lots of my friends are. So cheers to that. Congratulations. And to a long and successful career, assuming that's what he's looking for. But yeah. All right. Zora is a good girl who is not sitting wrong. From Secret Labs customer support, mocking my chair. And this is a good question from Chase P here. Can you get a charge for impaired operation if you are sitting in a car but don't have the keys? Or can you sleep it off in your car? So the thing you run into is care and control here in Canada. You can get convicted if you are in care and control of the vehicle while intoxicated.
Really?
Yep. And the basic test is, could you put the car in motion? So if the keys are there, and you're in the driver's seat, you'll often get convicted.
And that's similar to the law in the States. But usually the law is pretty strict on that one. Like the keys have to be in a state where the vehicle can be put into motion immediately. Like you have to be immediately able to and capable of putting that vehicle into motion, which usually is keys in the ignition or right like hanging out of the ignition. The difference is that now we all have a lot of the new cars have push button start, right? So you don't have to have a key in the ignition. So the second you set foot in that car, if it's a push button start, the analysis changes. Like that car can be put into motion with the press of a button. And I haven't seen a case come out recently on that one, but I would imagine that if you sit in the car with push to start, yeah, you're probably capable of getting busted.
The other one that can come up is I've seen people convicted on the theory basically that they could have hit the emergency brake and then it might have rolled.
Yeah.
So that's even people without a key. I did get one guy who was acquitted because here's the problem that comes up. Canada, it's super cold. And sometimes the bars close and it's like 30 below, right? And somebody's like, hey, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I don't want to walk home because I will freeze to death before I get there, but I'm also drunk. And so one guy, and I give this guy tremendous credit, he dragged a log in front of his car and he dragged a log behind his car. And then he sat in the driver's seat and he fired up the car and went to sleep with the engine running so he wouldn't freeze.
Interesting.
And they charged him and he went to trial. And the police officer's theory is that if he'd stepped on the gas, it might have made it over the log. And the judge was like, here's the thing. I don't have any evidence that it could have.
Yeah.
I've seen it as a big, it was not a small log. Like this guy hauled this big giant thing out. And so the judge acquitted him and said, like, I have no evidence that he could have gotten this thing moving anywhere other than directly into the log. So judge was like, but I think the judge was also feeling sympathetic because it was like 30 below and he probably would have died otherwise.
And for the people saying that, what if you sleep in the back seat? The thing is, they find a different way of charging you. They'll charge you with loitering. They'll charge you with sleeping in a vehicle is in a lot of states, depending on where the vehicle is located, can be unlawful depending on where it's parked. Yeah. So generally speaking, Uber, if you have it available to you, great method. Fantastic.
Yeah. Just keep in mind that, like, I'm in Alberta and some of the places in Alberta are super remote. And see, where did he find large logs? By a bar? The bar was by the side of the highway in the middle of nowhere. Like, this is a rural area. So, it's not, this is not a big town by any stretch.
And Susie Q, that question's a good one. Pull that one up.
Let me
if
see
you
if I
can.
can find
It was
it
right
here.
beneath the one you just tagged. It's not that. It's that a lot of people played games with that, where they would essentially sit in the car or the officer would wait until they got into their car, having watched them walk from the bar, seeing they were visibly drunk. They would get in the car and they would see the lights turn on. And the officer would then use that to initiate a stop to basically say this person was about to operate their vehicle, and they would try to prevent the operation before the person got on the highway and could do any damage. You're right that yes, sleeping in your car is better than operating the vehicle while intoxicated. However, both can be unlawful. And honestly, it's not a game of which one is better. The ideal, or the circumstance that essentially the law requires you to go about, is finding a safe way to get from that bar, which is a public location, back to your house without putting anyone in the public at risk because of the intoxication.
I've taken naps in my car as well for a number of reasons. And I have been I've been pulled over for it, or I've been stopped at the roadside for it. At one point, I was pulled over in a rest stop, like literally, it's called a rest stop. And I had my seat back. I keep a blindfold, in the car, and I had a pillow, and I was sleeping, and an officer knocks hard on my window, and he's like, "Roll down the window." I'm like, "Hi, I'm trying to take a nap here. Is there a reason you're waking me up?" He's like, "Is there a reason you're sleeping?" I'm going, "Yeah, I'm tired." And he went, and he leans in, and he's like, sort of doing the sniff, and he's like, "You haven't been drinking." And I'm like, "Nope,
Nope.
I have not been drinking." He's like, "Sorry to have woken you up, sir." And then he heads off. But the funnier one, this is a fun story. I don't know if I've told this one before, but I used to do these zombie simulation games. And so the way those worked is there were people wearing zombie masks. And then let me see if I can find a picture of me doing this.
Yeah,
because that
I'm
will
not
be-
getting how that can play out, but find a picture. Yeah.
So there's people wearing zombie masks who are running around, and there's also people who are playing as survivors who are trying to avoid getting et. And so you're running around doing your thing, and basically it's this long game, and it's fun. Now, I started off playing in them, and later I moved on to helping run the things, and yeah, it was a lot of fun. But we ran a night game, and so that was a game that took place over the course of the evening, and
What's the
that-
purpose of the game?
just fun. You try not to get eaten,
Oh,
and if you
Okay.
get killed by the zombies, then you keep playing as a zombie. And so yeah, I think I found a picture. Let me see if I can bring this up here. Just gonna try to get that going.
there was another game we would play as kids like that, where it was like hide and go seek, but a variation of hide and go seek. And once you were found, you then got converted to the team that was the seekers, and the goal was to be the last person found when all the people were looking for you. I forget what the game was called though.
But keep in mind, I go hard when I do this sort of thing.
I
So
can
let me
only
show
imagine.
you the picture of me playing this. And I warn people, this is in my short hair days. So yeah.
That's you.
That's me.
Those are tires.
Those are tires. I made tire armor.
What is on top of your head?
So the mask is like an airsoft mask, because there was actually airsoft guns being used in this.
Oh, so that's
So-
a chin guard. Okay.
So the mask is an airsoft mask just to protect my eyes. The thing over that is I also figured, what would you want in a zombie apocalypse? So that's like a woodworking chip mask.
Okay. All right.
So like this, yeah, I made the tire armor in my shop. This was version 1 of the tire armor. I actually made later versions that worked so much better. But I mean, good luck chewing through that.
Sure. You know what? That's pretty clever. All right.
I also
with you.
tested it. The tire tread portions are capable of like bouncing a 22 caliber bullet.
Yeah, they could stop around. I was just about to say that. The tread, if you hit a tire straight on the tread, it can stop around, right?
Yep. So this was pretty solid armor. And you know what? This armor actually saved my ass, because I was hunkered down behind this. We were playing in a mall that was like shut down for a bit, and somebody smashed a window as I was sitting above it, and this pane of glass landed on my shoulder and didn't do a thing to me, because it hit the solid rubber armor and just fell off. And
What game are you playing where you have glass being smashed? What is
Nobody
going
was
on?
nobody was supposed to smash glass in that. It was somebody who was actually, they thought it was cool to pound on the glass, to be like, I am an angry zombie, I'm pounding on the glass.
Oh, and it just
And
backfired.
and then
Terrible.
it smashed, and they didn't realize that that was going to happen, and they went, "Oh crap!"
That could have been fatal.
It could have been, but the armor meant that I was not harmed. I see. Damn, young Runkle was hot in World War One.
That's pretty good.
So yeah, this was this. They actually took this picture. This is me mid game, playing this, and the other thing is that there was actually they allowed for a certain number of airsoft guns to be on the field. And in order to run an airsoft gun, you had to show that you own the real gun. Now, I found an airsoft Tokarev, and I own a real Tokarev. So the reason why I've got my hands in my pockets there is that I've actually got a handgun in my pocket.
Oh, God.
So I'm not just happy to see people. I got a handgun in my pocket.
What gun did you have in the pocket?
Tokarev TT-33, the airsoft version.
Let's see what that looks like.
I can find a picture.
Oh,
of that.
they're tiny. Okay.
I mean, they're not super tiny, but
They're small. They're low profile for sure.
Yeah, they're fairly flat. They're like a, they're Soviet. So yeah,
no bells or whistles, does the thing.
Yep, it just does the job. And so I had a moment where this guy who, basically this guy decided he wanted to take me out in the game, like that this was going to be his quest. After he saw me in the tire armor, he was like, this guy's going down. And I don't know why he had an issue with me, but he did. So he was sort of following me around being like, hey, I'm gonna get this guy. And so finally he gets me cornered where there's no one else around. And he's like,
the Tokarev.
That's when I pulled the Tokarev. And I'm just trying to why is that? That's not the right picture. I'm just trying to see if I can get that showing. There we go. So this is what the Tokarev looks like. So yeah, he finally gets me cornered. I've got this little tiny like hammer. That's my weapon. And he's managed to find this like big solid sword. And so he's like, like, I got you now. And I'm just like, draw, pop, pop. And he's like, the hell?
Well, that's why you don't pull it early. You don't want them to know that you have it.
Exactly. Because then he just would have taken me out from behind and not. Like, I caught him monologuing is really what it is. He wanted to brag about how he was about to kill me. And
the Bond villain moment.
So, yeah, I put 2 in the chest, and he was like, what? The best part is he's like packing up because he's got to go get outfitted as a zombie. And then he's like, I've got, like, aren't you going to take the sword? And I was like, nah, it's too heavy. Like, it's too bulky to carry around. He's like, but it's a much better weapon. I'm like, still got the gun though.
Yep. And you're the only one that saw it, and you are now dead.
Yep. So that was a fun game. I enjoyed that. I managed to survive to the end. The other really fun part of this, so there was these guys who were bandits, and they were a group of them who were quite well outfitted, and so you didn't want to mess with the bandits. And towards the end of the game, they were very much, they were going out, like, cleaning people out if they could find you. So this was an old mall, and I found these change stalls, and the change stalls go up by, like, 10 feet, and then they were open in the air. So they were sweeping through, and I'm stuck in this store, and they're coming through. I managed to get up on top of the change stalls, and I'm hanging onto the edge. And they went through looking through each stall for people, and they missed that I'm hanging on above them going, oh crap, oh crap, oh crap. With like hanging on with.
Sounds fun. I want to play this game now.
It was so much fun. I'm hanging on with this handgun out there, and there's like 4 of them. I'm not going to take them all with the handgun. but it was so much fun. But anyway, back to the original point on all of this. We ran a night game, and I was super, super tired. And we did the cleanup. I'm still doing exercise. I'm still feeling pretty good. So I'm starting to drive home. And as I'm driving home, the adrenaline and so forth starts wearing off. And I'm going, I am too tired to be on the road. I'm going to kill somebody, and that somebody's probably going to be me. So I had better get off the road. So I pull off the highway, and I'm in this little tiny town, and I find a place that's it's over by there's this tree that's overhanging the road. It's kind of quiet. So I pull up under this tree, so I've got some shade because there's early morning sun. I throw my thing back, and I have a nap. And then I wake up about 4 hours later. I'm feeling way better. I'm feeling ready to go. And I'm like, hey, I'm going to drive home again. So I'm on the road, and cop, turns on his sirens. And I pull over, and the officer's like, do you know why I pulled you over? And I say, honestly, I have no idea, because I was driving the speed limit. And he says, you were actually, which is also kind of weird. Because I just put it in the speed limit and threw it on cruise control because, yeah. So he's like, no, the reason why is some people called. They said there was a guy passed out by a school. I hadn't noticed the school was there, but they said by a school with a car with like gas tanks in the back.
Yep. That would raise some red flags.
I used all those. We were using them as props, right? Originally they were full of water, and then we were making people, like, one of the objectives had people having to collect these things and then drag them across the map. And the guy's like, so what's with that? And I'm like, and normally the rule is don't talk to cops. This is one of the few exceptions, because this is one of those things.
There's this game.
I basically said, you know what? I was sleeping because I was super tired. I was playing a zombie game. Here is a brochure from the zombie game. And he looks at it and he goes, you know what? Nobody could ever make this up if it wasn't true.
No.
He's like, you have a great night. Just drive safe. So, yeah, that was a fun moment. I'm sitting there like, please don't search my car, because it's all full of foam weapons and airsoft guns and like
body armor that's makeshift out of a tire.
Yeah. It's like they would have charged me with whatever they could think of and then been like, what's going on here? So, yeah. I'm still behind on the super chats, but so I've got Equality. Thank you very much for 5 gifted memberships. My case of the Mondays was great. I went flying. That is an excellent thing to do. What is Surströmming that it smells so bad? It is, so they pack herring into a can, but it's still fermenting in the can. So it's not like preserved or salted or whatever. It's fermenting. So yeah, so I love Zora. Why does she have the waist strap with a handle? Is she a sleds dog? No, we put those on our dogs just because it makes it easy. Those are great for when you're putting a leash on them. And if they are used to wearing them, then they you never get any grief on that. So that is that's why she wears that. Vegemite is the food of the gods. Any suggestion otherwise is treason under Australian law, and we leave traitors in the bush with the snakes. Fair. So glad you waited till Rob got here for this. That's for the Surströmming. Nicole Christine became a YouTube member. Thank you very much. I bet your dogs wouldn't eat it. Zora totally would at 100%. Because she ate the place where the water spilled. So Ian, Surströmming or prison food? I will say, I would choose Surströmming with like the potatoes and all of that stuff over eating Nutriloaf.
U.S. prison food's different.
Have you heard of Nutriloaf?
No, I don't want to even. It's probably what I imagine. When I used to hike when I was a kid in the Scouts, we went to Philmont and they had this one bar. I forget what it was called, but it was essentially 3,000 calories in a bar that was like this big.
Oh no, that's not what Nutriloaf is at all.
Horrible. What is it?
Let me see if I can find a picture of Here we go. This is Nutriloaf.
Yeah, that looks awesome.
You know what Nutriloaf is?
I don't think I want to now that I see it.
It's all the calories and so forth that you need for the day.
That's
Blended together and baked into a loaf.
Yep. Nope. That's what they had at Pemmican Bar. Thank you, Judy. You got this. That's the Pemmican Bar.
No, Pemmican is good.
Ugh.
This is prison punishment food. It's basically all of the stuff that they were going to feed you anyway, but they just put it into a blender and bake it together.
Foodstuffs.
Yeah, it's because they can't starve you, but they can feed you terrible food. In Canada, Nutriloaf is considered unconstitutional treatment.
Seriously?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It's cruel and unusual punishment.
Oh, the chat's mad at me for saying Pemmican Bar was trash. It's an acquired taste.
For the man phased by nothing, ever tried balut? I have tried to, but I was not successful. Or would you? I would. Also love watching you both. Well, awesome. Vintage Willow, thank you very much for the membership. Time says my dog hears Zora. She's not happy. Sorry about that. Have you tried steak tartare? I love
Delicious.
Steak tartare.
Love it.
I make steak tartare on my own.
Yeah,
it's just
delicious.
Solid, good stuff.
And ceviche, same thing, delicious.
Oh, so good. I'm so happy you did it the right way. Yeah, I mean, I could have just eaten it like in my car, and then I would have had to replace a car. I read that one previously with from John Kissinger. Real McCoy, thank you very much for the membership. Ian, I have a stomach bug. I put this on stream to distract myself, but this is working. Sorry. Yeah, that's all I can say on that. Don't do it. It's bad. I will never forget those gummy bears. Maybe I'll save the gummy bear for another stream here because we've already had the Surströmming on this one. Smorgastarta sandwich cake. Try it if possible. I am intrigued. I don't know where I'd get it. When I lived and worked in the Silicon Valley, we had separate microwaves in a lunchroom due to the different smells. That doesn't surprise me. Smells of food in lunchrooms is a constant source of, like, if you're bringing out, if you're the person like microwaving fish in that, then
I was on a plane once, and look, I live in Northern Virginia. Maryland was where I spent high school days. So, crabs. Blue crab, Maryland blue crab. Fantastic. Great food. Awesome. Amazing during the summer. Great. However, I was on a plane once. And I swear to you, this person brings a Ziploc bag, one of the big gallon Ziploc bags.
Yeah.
And has 2 crabs in the Ziploc bag.
Oh, no.
And proceeds to, and they're clearly from the day prior. Proceeds to start picking the fucking crab on the plane.
Oh, no, that's not plain food.
Oh, no, it's not plain food. And it just, the smell. Oh, no. Mm-mm.
Yeah, and I did once eat steak tartare on a stream. I'm pretty sure that was the stream where we were talking about.
It was. We were talking about. Catboy. Yep.
Yeah. Rob, when do we get a unicorn Gundam build vid?
Oddly enough, I spent most of my evening deep diving on 3D printers because that's That's the new thing I want to purchase. So I need to.
Oh,
There's so many freaking options out there, and trying to do research on this stuff is so wild because there's just so much. And right now, I can't even decide if I want a resin based printer or if I want a platform based printer, extrusion printer. Driving me crazy, but that will probably result in lots of builds.
I want to. I want to get a laser cutter next.
Yeah.
The laser. There's a brand, the Laser Pecker, which I would totally get, but they're super expensive. So
Yeah.
my wife would be upset if I bought one out of the blue. So, Marvin from the Czech Republic saying Ian has to come to the Czech Republic. If you come to Prague, I'll take you for the best pork knuckle. That sounds fantastic. Of course, Rob is also welcome, remembering the discussion of peasant food from a previous stream.
I love it. It's not even the peasant food. It's honestly just food that comes from the heart, from people that are scrapping to make that food last, is oftentimes the best meal that you can ever have.
Well, and also just making it, they can make really good food out of like
Anything.
weird odds and ends. And often it's like people who just didn't have a whole lot. So there's some really good food out there. Ramen is fantastic. And ramen starts with, let's make a soup out of garbage. So, Ian, Corey loved your Hot One stream. Oh, that's awesome. And he did a live on Popcorn Planet. His last wish is to go on holiday to Whitby if we can come up with a plan. That has to happen. That's got to happen. Maybe David could do a special Hardy pre-recorded episode and Corey could be part of that. If it's pre-recorded, you could maybe stop and start as his strength allows until you get a full episode in. That might be a good idea. I just don't know what he's up to these days. I mean, in the sense of what he's, what his limits are. So, yeah. Have you seen the Mean Girls lawsuit? Book authors suing for share of movie profits didn't realize how profitable it would be when she sold rights. Just from that description, I can predict she's going to lose unless she gets a jury who's just super sympathetic. Typically, not realizing what something is worth is not a reason to redo a sale. So, let's say I sell Rob a piece of land.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm in an area where the land rights also include mineral rights.
Mm-hmm.
And
Texas. This is where it gets litigated all the time.
Yeah. So I sell Rob this piece of land, and unbeknownst to me, this land has a super rich gold deposit. Now, Rob knew that. That's why Rob wants to buy the land. He came up and he's like, I will give you $1 million for your $20,000, or $200,000 plot of land. And I'm thinking, hot damn, I've found a sucker, and I sell it to Rob. Later, Rob becomes a hojillionaire because there's just, basically like 6 feet down. If you dig, it's pure gold for like another 12 feet. Rob is rolling in money. And I come back and sue Rob, and they will say, tough crap. You were entirely fine making the deal when you thought you were ahead. Now that you found that you're not, no, tough. So, but the thing is juries. Juries are a hell of a thing, right? Because
yep.
Sometimes
that's why you put those to that's why a lot of times, well, that's the problem. The plaintiff is the one that gets to elect in the US whether they're bringing the jury, whether they ask for jury or not. And it depends on the state constitution and the state legislature to say whether they're entitled to a jury or not. If I was the defendant, I would want that in front of a judge, period.
Yeah. And if I was the defendant, I'd absolutely want that in front of a judge, because the last thing you want is for a jury to be like, oh, well, we feel sympathetic and just go against the law. Koru noting Corey's not very well. Koru, reach out, send me a Twitter message. We'll talk. We'll see what we can do. USPS decided to attempt delivery of my brand new tower,
no.
full tower PC case into my condo's tiny package box. Made me go pick it up the next day. Idiots. Oh, could be worse. At least they didn't yeet it.
Yep.
Hey, Rob, the Zachariah Anderson trial is going into closing arguments tomorrow. The defense rested yesterday, and there are no rebuttal witnesses.
I'll try to check that out. That's been an interesting trial.
I haven't been following that one. Oh, and I've got the wrong one. She said before she's Koru, not Kuro. Well, I'll reach out to Kuro to touch base and see what's going on. Yvonne Cook, thank you very much for the super sticker. Michelle Doverspike, thank you for the membership there. Can I protect myself with an airsoft? Probably not, because airsoft is not super effective for that. I mean, probably not in the sense of like, it's not going to do much. Happy Monday, Ian. Your braid is now 20 inches long, 1/3 done. I'm making 1.5 inches an hour. People can watch it being made on my channel at Torin 3. Check that out. Torin has provided links on my locals. So if you go onto my locals, you can see that. Check it out. It is wizardry. So that is fantastic. Koru saying was just going to tell you, Ian. Well, thank you. I'm not always the brightest. So I didn't think we could love Runkle more, yet here we are. Well, thank you very much. Runkle, can we meet your mom one day? I will ask her if she wants to ever come on a stream. My mom, by the way, is delightful. I'm all about poke too. Oh, I went and stayed in, so my wife and I stayed in Hawaii, and we were in this like little apartment that we'd rented. And right nearby, there was this place called Da Poke Shack. Mm-hmm. Literally, Da D-A Poke Shack. And you go in there, and they have these buckets, like literally buckets, in these racks that had cooling, but it was like real rough. And you just go in, and you'd be like, I want a bag of this. And they would, and I tried so many things there. I just ate myself stupid.
That's my Friday go-to.
Oh.
During Lent. Like, that's my Friday go-to. Every Friday. It's my favorite thing.
Oh, poke, like good poke is so amazing. So I see. What about meeting Mrs. Runkle? Mrs. Runkle she doesn't really, want to be sort of involved with my my YouTube BS, because she makes smarter decisions. That Poke Shack is awesome. If you're in the area, oh my god, like let them know. That was so good. Rob, are you Catholic? I don't think that's something that's a secret. Yeah. Nicole has ADHD saying, I would love to talk to your mom as the mom of 3 ADHDers. I would love to hear her stories. I'm hoping to launch my channel soon, a community for us ADHDers and ADHD parents. So I can tell a story on this one. I used to have so much trouble going to sleep as a tiny kid. So in order to make that happen when I was like, a small kid, she would wrap me up in a blanket and then face me towards a blank wall so that I wouldn't have anything to distract me. Because otherwise my attention deficit was so bad that I would not be able, like that I would just get distracted and could never. Apparently I'd get so tired that I was like crying from misery from that. And yeah. Sarah Sabetti, I'm really sorry about that. We'll lift a glass here, noting my mom just died. Sorry to your mom. But yeah, no, she had some. So yeah, it's the burrito roll. I've used it on my son. Yep, she had to do that all the time. So I'm all about Poke too. Yep, I think Rob, I've done the 3D printer deep dive for a year. I'd be happy to share what I know. I have an FL Sun V400 Delta.
Torin, send me an email. I would love to get input. And I saw people talking about the resin and how resin is dangerous. I work with resin a lot, so I'm actually really comfortable using it. And that seems to be what people say is the downside to that, is the working with that material, but I use that regularly. So I don't know. I'm completely torn, and I'm trying to not buy both, but I might buy both.
I know how that goes. A colleague at work used to eat kimchi at her desk. Oh my God, war. I sat next to her. Oh, I'm sorry. We did have a small chat about it. I would have a chat. It would be a loud chat. Now, I want to say I love kimchi, but kimchi, I make my own kimchi, but kimchi is not work food. There's just no excuse for that. One of the sushi delicacies I tried in Japan was pureed crab guts on rice. Oh, it was gray, slimy, and tasted as bad as you can imagine. Pig knuckle with cabbage is fantastic. I don't like crab guts. I love crab, but yeah. Cheryl Weimer, thank you very much for the YouTube membership. That Zachariah Anderson trial makes me want to gag at all the women who are like, he's so cute, his deep voice is sexy. Like, no, he's a creepy stalker. Yeah, ladies out there, and men, because men do this too. If you see somebody on trial for serious criminal offenses, maybe don't, I know the heart wants what the heart wants, but maybe tell the heart to make smarter decisions. Because, yeah, the heart doesn't always make good decisions. For protection, should I get a 38 special or shotgun? I'm 66 living alone. I don't know. Try shooting both.
Yeah,
because
that's a comfort. That's a comfort decision.
Yeah, the best gun is one that you can feel comfortable shooting and you can shoot accurately. If you're going to be scared to pull the trigger, then it's not a good choice for you. I mean, depending on, like, if somebody kicked down my door, whether I went for a handgun or a shotgun would depend basically on where I was in the house.
Yeah.
So,
like, I've got a lot of corners in my house. Ian's been here. Like, a handgun makes sense in my house.
And I think probably the same.
Yeah.
But I mean, really, you're not going to want to do house clearing. Like, if things are bad and there's somebody in the house and they're taking your stuff in the other room, let them take your stuff. Often defending your house is just picking a place that's defensible and hunkering down there.
Yep.
So, yeah. And I see Mrs. Hogue just tweeted some good news. That I want to find out what that is, because that's important.
Yeah, look that up. Now, both of those firearms are sufficiently loud to scare off a potential intruder. Obviously, there's benefits to both. The shotgun is obviously more margin for error with that. I mean, you can cure the margin for error with the shotgun, but it's a comfort thing. So go to the range, shoot both, and really do practice.
At self-defense distances, the difference in size between a shotgun and a handgun or a rifle is not a whole lot. Because, if you're at 20 feet out, the spread is going to be like that instead of like that. So yeah. Let me just pull up the good news here, because I think this is a good one to see here.
And scroll up a tiny bit. You missed one that you didn't star on your chat.
Did I miss
Milestone day for Hogues. Finally had a doc follow-up appointment that ended with call me if you need anything and not make a follow-up for a few weeks from now. Light at the end of the tunnel. Y'all light. That's amazing news.
That is amazing. I don't see one that I didn't star.
Kristen.
Do I not? I got that one. Yep. That's this one. Did the FNF S chat person get the ice cream gun email to you? Not to me.
Not yet. That email, there's some stuff that I need to respond to that email with. But yeah, I do have that. I want to pull that stream and take a look at it because that's going to take some deeper dive.
I haven't been able to look at it because I don't have that. So yeah, I wasn't able to check that out. Several people in my area have received letters from the government in regards to the restricted firearms. They want photos of serial numbers, magazines, the safe they're stored in, and the location of the safe in their home. Have you heard anything? I have not, but if you could have those people reach out to me, because that is exceptional. I can tell you how I'd respond to that letter.
It's a photo, but it would be of something else.
I might not send them a photo. I mean, I guess the can of Surströmming is still in my trash can. I could package that up and mail it back to them. So, yeah. 1000% false. Depends on choke size in a shotgun. Fact. With cylinder choke, your radius is not super huge within house distances. I'll go out to the range at some point with some witness boards, and I'll do this up. I'll make a video of that because yeah. You can take the picture of all the dog poop. No, I can pick up all the dog poop,
put it in a package,
pack it into a suitcase, and then mail them that as like, in response to your letter, please find the following enclosed correspondence.
To be microwaved in the community microwave.
There you go. Now, this is not legal advice. This is humor, folks. Do not actually do this stuff.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
So, yeah. I like this one. Answer that letter with a photo of Charlton Heston. No caption. That, I think, is a safer thing with a good sense of humor. Rob, is it cold in Virginia? You look like you're dressed for near Arctic conditions.
No, it's chilly. I'm just comfortable. It's just a sweatshirt.
Yeah, that's a good place to be. So we could probably use let's talk about some fun law, because I've got some fun law here. This was a case that made some news. I thought, did you hear about this one? Halim versus Buffalo Wild Wings and Inspire Brands.
Yeah, I did hear about this case.
This is wild. So he's suing on behalf of himself and all others similarly situated. So this is a class action lawsuit. He says it's a consumer protection and false advertising class action against defendants Buffalo Wild Wings and Inspire Brands, predicated on the false and deceptive marketing and advertising of Buffalo Wild Wings' boneless wings. And basically his issue on the boneless wings is that it would lead reasonable consumers to believe the products are actually chicken wings. In other words, that the products are chicken wings that have simply been deboned and as such are comprised of entirely chicken wing meat, which they aren't, right? They're breast meat that is just shaped into a sort of wing lump. So he's super upset about this. Unbeknownst to plaintiff and other consumers, the products are not wings at all, but instead slices of chicken breast meat, which is in bold and italics, deep fried like wings. Indeed, the products are more akin in composition to a chicken nugget rather than a chicken wing. Okay. This clear-cut case of false advertising should not be permitted, as consumers should be able to rely on the plain meaning of a product's name and receive what they are promised.
Who is pissed off that they get chicken breast meat instead of wing? Like,
I mean, I'm upset that they don't contain any buffalo.
That's when I saw that this was a lawsuit. That was where I was going with this. Like, they're going to say it didn't have buffalo. And like, really, this is what you're going to complain about?
And he's saying that it's, indeed, several of Buffalo Wild Wings' competitors are careful to name their products boneless chicken or chicken poppers rather than boneless wings to prevent consumers from being misled. I feel like this one is not hard. Razor clams do not actually contain any razors.
That's a good example too, by the way. I don't know. Did you think about that one today? Because that's a good example.
I was just searching my mind for other examples here. Like, squab is pigeon, but they picked the name squab because people don't like the idea of paying $60 for an order of pigeon, but they will pay that to get, some fancy bird. This is not. So, had plaintiff and other consumers known that the products are not actually chicken wings, they would have paid less for them, or they would not have purchased them at all. Here's the thing. It's not like you can negotiate the price of a chicken wing most of the time. Like, hey,
You're also buying a superior cut of chicken meat. Like, if anything is negotiated, it's negotiated the other way.
I mean, I actually prefer wing meat to breast meat, but I know what I'm getting, right? I'm not an idiot. Yes, and here's a good one.
Right. I saw that come up. Perfect.
Rocky Mountain oysters are not really oysters. Yep, they contain 0 oyster. Cauliflower wings. Cauliflower does not have actual wings. It's wait, what? It's pigeon? Yeah, squab is pigeon.
Yeah, people eat it. It's fine.
Razor clam is the correct name of the species. It's not actually what you'll find on a menu. You know what they call razor clam on a menu?
What?
Savory clam. Because people don't like the notion of razor clams.
Like people. I think I've just decided that.
I mean, the reason why is that it's marketing, but they're called razor clams because they're kind of shaped like an old-timey straight razor. So, yeah.
Yeah.
They make vegan buffalo wings out of cauliflower. Like, vegan cheese contains no milk.
I like the Dino Nuggies comment. Dino Nuggies aren't made out of dinosaurs.
Yes. Yeah.
Oh. And gooey duck. Oh, gooey duck. Oh, that's a disgusting thing. I can't. Yep. There's
I've eaten those.
Hot
it's
dogs.
just
Like, this is the dumbest. I don't mean to say dumbest lawsuit. Just really?
Yeah. Hot dogs contain no dog. Now, you might be saying this is the dumbest lawsuit. So I had a hunch. I had this wee little hunch. And I said, this is probably not this guy's first go.
No.
So I searched his name in Pacer.
No. How many?
I only found this one in Illinois, but I've heard that he's actually running some other ones. But we've got this one here. Same guy, Ayman Halim, on behalf of himself and those similarly situated, suing Reynolds Consumer Products. And this one is over hefty brand recycling bags. And the reason why is he says that because they're made of plastic, they're not suitably recyclable. And so he wants to sue on the basis of that. Now, this one is done. This one is over and finished. Guess how it ended?
Settlement, undisclosed amount, dismissal.
He withdrew his claim.
Yep.
So.
Yep. Here's $5,000. Shut up. Go away.
Yeah, this guy seems like a nuisance lawsuit filer. That's sort of how that looks. Because, yeah. So I thought that one was funny, but yeah. Hamburgers aren't made out of ham.
What drives me nuts is that like stuff like this happens and people immediately say, this is like the McDonald's coffee cup case. Well, no, it's not. That case actually had merit and people threw shade at it because they didn't know the facts. These cases are just ludicrous. Like this should be dedicated like its own AITA, you know, the Am I the Asshole thread on
Yep.
Reddit. That's this. This is the answer is yes, you are. Yes, you are. You bring this lawsuit. Yes, you are. You are we were looking for a word the other day that was better than Karen, right?
Yep.
But you're that version. Whatever name you want to call it, you're that.
I think we sort of went with possibly Nakash after that lawsuit. But you know what is like the McDonald's lawsuit?
What?
Let me see if I can bring this up a little bigger.
Oh,
Canada woman
interesting.
sues Tim Hortons after superheated tea caused horrific burns.
Interesting.
And this is an article that I chose because in part it doesn't have the pictures, because the pictures are really horrific. This is another case where somebody sustained some very serious injuries, suing for 500,000 Canadian, which is a big lawsuit by Canadian standards. In the US, they sue for millions. In Canada, not so much, because we have very different, different tort standards. Now, oh crud! It's saying that I need to register to keep reading. Let's see if I can work around that. Ah, there we go. So she says that, yeah, you can see how difficult that is. She says that she picked up a cup which immediately collapsed in on itself, and 14 ounces of scalding hot liquid spilled on her stomach and legs. The tea provided was a hazard rather than a beverage. And yeah, she has sustained physical injuries. It took 3 weeks for the wounds to close. She's got permanent injuries, hypersensitive skin that requires constant treatment. So yeah, she says that she's not been able to fully care for her disabled child. And Tim Hortons, the company that owns them, say that she has assumed risk when ordering a hot beverage and that she was the author of her own misfortune when the tea spilled.
Okay, that's your take. I imagine a
also
jury might get to see the evidence.
Yep, and also says that she was distracted by her mobile phone. So, yeah, it's interesting here because we'll see how this one shakes out. But I mean, it seems like they were serving it at a very hot temperature. That's at least the allegation, because it caused all sorts of injuries. So, and they note here the lawyer acknowledged that her case was also likely to be ridiculed, but I don't know if that's the right way to go. So, yeah, it's difficult on that one.
And if anyone thinks that McDonald's coffee cup case was frivolous, go back and watch that Trials of the Century, because that was not a frivolous case.
Yeah, and in fact, it was an intentionally dangerous scenario because they knew that their coffee was causing injuries, and yeah, they kept it hot because that let them use cheaper coffee. So, yeah, it's a lot of people are laughing about that one. I'm not laughing. I'm waiting to see how that one comes out.
That's going to be interesting. I imagine they'll try to settle, but we'll see. Now that they file the case, the problem with accepting a settlement at this point is that everyone's joking and laughing at you about the frivolity of the lawsuit without a settlement that openly acknowledges by the defendant. They're probably going to push forward.
Yeah.
So,
well, let's watch something a little more fun.
Please.
This one I thought was pretty entertaining. Now, I had to cut out the original audio and put on a backing song. Hopefully we don't get kicked off, but it says there's no YouTube whatever. But yeah, Law and Crime, who claim that they own this, put their logo on it and their own music just to try to prevent other people from playing it. But you don't own police footage, folks.
Nope.
This car is not the problem. I'm getting this is the car that called it in. That would be my bet, because he's following this person, and
it gives way pretty quick.
Yeah.
Is that car going backwards?
That car is going backwards.
Okay. I
What's
mean,
following this guy as a suspected impaired driver?
he's not impaired. Are you kidding me?
No, this guy's sober.
If he's impaired, like, someone give this guy a contract.
No kidding. Like, this is...
Nope. I might stand corrected.
I mean, he did pretty well.
That thing, though, went up that tree pretty damn quick.
Oh, that thing nuked that tree.
Yeah, cop is conflicted, like trying to make sure that they're okay. Of course he's gonna run. Okay. Why?
You know what I was quite surprised by? I don't think the cop pulled his gun.
I thought he did. I think he had a flashlight left hand, gun right hand.
Like, you see him later, he's got flashlight in one hand and he's on his mic and he doesn't reholster. So that tells me empty hand. He's just going with the flashlight to see what's going on.
Why? The question, why? And then to not try to spin I just, did that begin as like a dare or a prank and then developed into a backwards car chase?
I see he was impaired and suspended, so I guess they caught the guy. I'm just impressed because that is like, that suggests that the guy was doing pretty well. I don't think I could drive that well.
That's gotta hurt too. The second you hit that tree, especially if you're doing like the crane over the back.
Oh, yeah, it's
like when you're getting cuffed, are you saying, can you just add pressure here? I need one crack. Like, can you chiropractor for a second?
Yeah. Backup lights do not equal headlights.
No.
So, yeah, was this another case of a male hold my beer moment? It sounds like this one might be a case of a hold my bottle of vodka moment.
Whatever he was drinking. My freaking word.
But he woke up and chose GTA today. I mean, if I was the cop, I would be a little bit impressed. But
yeah,
the one thing I will say, thank God for that tree.
Because otherwise it would have been a house.
Otherwise, it could have been a house.
Yeah.
Or somebody's kid.
Yeah. He was drinking Red Bull. It gave him wings. It was a good comment. I like that. Yeah, it's
that's the thing, is these videos always kind of have a dark side. Because that tree tree saved the house. Absolutely it did. Good reason to have some trees in your front yard, maybe. Matchbox car. That car body was aluminum foil. Missed my van with a steel bumper. Car versus tree, though. Car won. Happy missed the house. A neighbor on vacation had a car crash into garage, set on fire. Oh, geez. The other thing is that cars nowadays are built to save your life. They are not built to... they're not built to save the car. And so what that means is that they crumple. Like, they fold up real easy. So, you gotta be cautious on that one. Sadly, the McDonald's lady was so maligned, she died penniless after the lawsuit. They really treated her badly, unfortunately. What are your opinions of some cool jobs in the legal world other than a lawyer? YouTuber is pretty good.
All kinds of stuff. I mean, paralegal work can be fun if you have the right case, right firm, right culture.
Yep, absolutely. And there are some paralegals who make bank. I talked to a conveyancer who was making twice what I make. And like, she's just really good at doing real estate transactions.
Mm-hmm.
And so for the law firm she works for, she's absolutely worth it because she can process real estate transactions so fast. I see another good suggestion here that this one can be fun and it can be stupid boring. Do you guys use private investigators? I have.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, a lot of private investigator work is super boring.
Very. Skip trace, tracking information on people, boring stuff.
A lot of times it's, hey, I need to find this person in order to serve them with a document. Can you figure out where they are? The other thing private investigators get hired to do a ton of is, hey, this person has made a disability claim or an injury claim. And can you watch them for weeks on weeks to see if you can catch them doing something that is not disability related? And I can tell you that's super depressing at times because a lot of those people, you'll just see them that they are straight up injured.
CASA can be a rewarding job. Court-appointed special advocate.
Yep.
They can be rewarding work. That can be very rewarding.
Yeah, if you're in a situation where, I mean, there's lawyers who just purely do work for like children in, various cases. That can be really, the problem is if you're an actual lawyer, a lot of the things that actually make money are not the things that are rewarding in their own way, if that makes sense.
They're hard.
Yeah, it's like immigration work, super important, also super hard and no money in it. So, and that's basically because if you have a soul in the legal profession, they totally want to, they'll exploit that in terms of how much they'll pay you. It just is what it is. So yeah, that's kind of depressing. Somebody's asking, what's the next trial of the century? I don't know when that'll get started again. We'll have to figure all that out.
I'm hoping first week of April.
That'd be nice. We'll have to figure all that out. First car was a 1977 Lincoln, hit a light pole at 45 miles per hour. I was fine. Car at a small scratch. Lucky.
That's lucky indeed.
Yep. The other thing about law is that there's a wide range of jobs in law, and at a certain point, you can make your own hours, right? If you are, for instance, like if you're private counsel doing criminal defense, you can choose how many files you want to take. Now, keep in mind, that is a direct connection to how much money are you going to earn, right? But, yeah, it's, you can choose to make less money and have more time for yourself and your kids and so forth. So yeah, it's tough. This is me. If I was a lawyer, I'd probably do too much pro bono work.
Pro bono.
And make no money. Yep. At one point, I took all my tax information to an accountant for, to do taxes. And he was like, seriously? Like, why are you even, a lawyer if you're making like this little money? because I did way too much free work. I worked my butt off that year, and I made no money because I did so much work for free. My assistant was like, "Seriously, you're doing another file for no money?" And I was like, "Yes."
Yeah, you sleep pretty well though.
Yeah, I picked up 4 trial files in one day of doing docket work. Like I was doing a shift of duty counsel, and I picked up 4 trial files because there were people who had no money and were, and were sad. So, yeah, I did work for nothing. It's not a great way to live. Also, I can tell you that if you are applying to firms and you're like, "Hey, I do a lot of pro bono work," they're like, "Hey, doors that way." So, yeah. What's this? Lol, you can choose your hours after your student loans are paid off. I did it the other way. It's the stupid way because your loans still acquire interest while you're doing pro bono work. But yeah. So it is what it is. You got to make choices is sort of what it comes down to. And I don't begrudge anybody who's out there making dollars either. Like, it's just, you got to make your own choices. And there's merit to that too. I did a concealed carry course with a 38 special. We had a safety meeting that if you could chunk a chunk, who's there? I'm guessing that's a shotgun racking sound.
Oh.
Yeah, I mean, there is a certain something to the sound of a racking pump action shotgun.
Why is it not already? I mean, if it's your home defense weapon, I'm not going to get it. That's giving advice I don't want to give.
Yeah, it's I know people who intentionally don't keep one chambered. Now in Canada, you can't keep any in the gun at all. But I know people in the States where they can keep a loaded firearm who don't keep one chambered just so that they can do the shotgun rack. And the thing is, when you're good at it, you can rack a shotgun pretty fast. So, and I see Runkle, would you like to assist the BWW Council? BWW. I don't know who that is. Maybe they can reach out to me if they'd like help.
Buffalo Wild Wings.
Oh, Buffalo Wild Wings. That's civil law, so I would not be super useful. Also the wrong country. So, been calling them fancy nuggets for years. I should have sued and made my millions.
That's not $1 million lawsuit. There's no way.
That's a go away money lawsuit.
Yeah.
Like, that's one where you say, "Hey, we'll give you 5,000 if you screw off," just because 5,000 is cheaper than the lawyers.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it. I was in a Czech pub and ordered a Zizkov Virgin for dinner. I was very upset when they served me chicken and tomato sauce. I am guessing that's a joke I'm not getting because of what that means, but I think I know where that one was going. Fair.
Yeah. And Tony P in the chat, I'm with you. Like on the shotgun rack.
Yeah, not a fan of the shotgun rack. If things have devolved that far, I'm not giving my location away. I know somebody whose house actually has an alarm that just plays a loud shotgun racking sound.
Oh, that might do something.
So it's, if you break into their house, you will hear from another room.
That would do the trick, especially if it's the room that I'm not in and get their attention. Yeah, that would do the trick.
Oh, yeah, and then they're looking the wrong way as you're sitting there with a real shotgun. Yeah, I mean, if I was a burglar breaking into a place and I heard a shotgun racking sound, I would leave very rapidly because I wouldn't want to I wouldn't want to find out. That's a level of fuck around that I think most people are not inclined to to engage in. Talking about stupid lawsuits, do you know that McDonald's has lost rights to name Big Mac in the EU after a frivolous lawsuit?
Oh my God.
It doesn't sound frivolous if they actually lost the rights to it. That I did not know. Is that why they've got like the Royale with King or with cheese and so forth? Now I'm pulling this up. How McDonald's lost its Big Mac in Europe. They lost that to the fast food chain Supermax.
Oh, that's a trademark and copyright case then.
Yeah, and it sounds like Supermax must have had the
pre-existing.
So no, that doesn't sound frivolous to me. That sounds like they it sounds to me like they may have a good claim on that.
Mm-hmm.
So,
especially if they went to McDonald's and said, "Hey, by the way, we have this. Would you like to pay to license it from me?"
Yeah. Well, and also they're noting that a lot of people have the Mick or Mac names in the US, or sorry, in the EU. Like a lot of people have that name, like in Ireland. And they apparently McDonald's had registered things like Mac Internet and Mac Country. Interesting.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But they'd been in operation apparently since 1978.
Oh, and McDonald's was the one that initiated the suit.
Yeah.
That's okay. It's one way to do it.
I mean, it's not a frivolous lawsuit if you're the defendant. Is the other thing. Do I think the Gwyneth Paltrow lawsuit is frivolous? I don't know enough on that, but we can talk about that in just a moment. Let's go through the rest of these super chats that are backed up, just so I don't get too behind. I was on TV on Patrol Live. His transmission was out. He only had reverse. That's the impaired driver. That's hilarious, but also a bad idea. Also, I didn't mean to use the laughing emoji. I was behind the laughing emoji. Truffle Hound, righto, I'm out. What's the difference between unlawful and illegal? Unlawful includes things like drunk driving or robbery. Illegal is a sick bird. I'm just watching that reaction there. It's like the guys that do the spin outs all over the country now, like in the parking lot behind my house.
Oh, okay. Now I get it.
There you go.
Bird. That took me a minute. Sorry.
Illegal. A lawyer friend of mine was headhunted by a big international firm. He said no thanks because he wanted to see his kids grow up. Yep. Yeah. If you're looking into going into law, ask what your billable expectations are. Because if you've got expectations of like 2,400 billable hours,
that's a lot of time.
I know a guy who got out of big law because he said, like, I've got this huge apartment. I have all this stuff in it. He's like, I had 2 fancy cars. He's like, I got to drive the cars to and from work, and I only came into my apartment to just crash and sleep to get to the office again. He's like, I never got to do anything. So he quit. He downsized his life tremendously, and he's way happier. They sued Supermax. Yep, that didn't work out for them. Grey Gold Girl, thank you very much for the YouTube membership. Rob, I understand you might have to go. So
yeah, I got to jump off. I had a headache developing towards the end of the day, and it's getting pretty bad. I think I need some water and some sleep.
Water. I like naproxen for that sort of situation because it's a painkiller and it helps you crash out.
Yeah, I need some sleep, but I'm going to keep you guys on in the background while I'm getting that stuff done. So I'll be listening just from a different location.
Thank you so much for joining. And I hope the headache, goes away, that you feel better. And yeah.
It will. Just got to follow my own advice of drinking more water during the day. But Thank you guys. Happy Monday. Thank you, Ian, for having me. Enjoy the rest of your week. I think there's still 4 days left, even though it feels like there should only be 2. But good night, all. Thank you very much.
Good night. Yeah, it's been a rough week just starting out.
Yeah, it has. See you guys.
Yeah. All right, that's Rob. If you don't know Rob, and I'm sure everyone here does, his channel is Law and Lumber. Check him out. Fantastic content. See, Runkle, I have a dog that sounds like Zora. She growled at my vet for a few minutes. He told me she would protect me. The sheriff in Louisiana told me to drag the body inside. Not legal advice. So now people were asking about the Gwyneth Paltrow lawsuit, and that one's kind of interesting because she has countersued for a shiny dollar. That is interesting to me. So basically what this guy alleges, and I haven't been able to read everything. I had some people linking me to that and asking me for my thoughts earlier today. So I'm trying to figure all this out kind of last minute. But apparently this guy says that Gwyneth Paltrow crashed into him while skiing and that he's suffering from all of these health effects after the fact. He says that he's got cognitive problems. He says he's got this, he's got that. Gwyneth Paltrow, on the other hand, says that he crashed into her and she is countersuing. He was originally asking for $3 million. I think that got cut down to $300,000. And she says he crashed into her. She's asking for a judgment for that in the amount of $1. So, yeah, it'll be interesting. She also claims that like a friend of his who was skiing with him says that he had no problems afterwards. So, but I don't know. One of them has broken ribs. The other skied away. We'll have to see what's going on about that. But Baby Gator, I'm watching the Tragos stream about this when your stream is over. Oh, pop in the background. We'll have to see. I will follow that up on the Tragos stream as well, because that is that's kind of more his wheelhouse. I mostly do criminal work. I've touched very little civil stuff in my life, and so yeah. The GP trial starts tomorrow, right? It does. I don't think it's televised, but I'll have to see. Stealth Doggo. The dude had a lot of problems before the crash. He's just now after a payday. That is entirely possible. And another one that is, I wonder if Jane Doe crashed into him. Would there be a lawsuit? It's hard to say. A lot of big pockets starts getting people get interested in a lawsuit when they see there's big pockets. Did either one of you get to look into the ice cream truck murder trial? I didn't really get a link as to what they were looking at, so I'm going to have to find that out later. It was mentioned in Friday Night Frenzy. By the way, love it when you guys just chat. We'll have to see. EDB doesn't even want to cover that case. So yeah. Court TV is streaming it or airing it. I got to work tomorrow. Maybe I will see if I can watch that, and then maybe I can do a recap later on. Zora was peeking in earlier, so I'll see if that. A name suggestion for your podcast today: Monday Night Madness. That's not a bad idea. He's a retired eye doctor. He wants millions. Really, I think that the judge already cut down his lawsuit. Really, though I can attest to pain being delayed, I guess body shock be reasonable. Yeah. I mean, it's hard to say, right? Because I've seen people who were literally shot who walked away from the scene and then later were like, what? There was a file that I had where somebody was driving around shooting people with a .22. And, 22 isn't a big bullet, but it still can be lethal. But this guy got shot in the back. And the police found him because he had blood all over the back of his shirt. And, that's kind of a thing. But the police actually stopped this guy and said, hey, you were shot. And he's like, oh, no, that was, I was just shot with like an airsoft or a paintball gun or something like that. And he said, and the police are like, no, this was actually with a real gun. You are covered in blood if you look at your back. He didn't know. I see the lady in black saying it was cut down from 3 million because he went to Europe 2 years later. Do you let your pain stop you from living, Runkle of the Bailey? I don't, but I also live in a ton of pain. That said, a lot of the criteria for payments are, does it stop you from doing things you like? So it's hard to say. I don't know enough about this one to, sort of say for sure. Because this one could go either way. It could be, I don't hold Gwyneth Paltrow in high regard. She's not one of those people who I think is, would never mislead the public, because her entire Goop brand kind of seems kind of sketchy, right? That said, I don't know. So I want to see I want to see how this one shakes out in a trial before I have too much thought on it, because it'll really have to come down to what the evidence is looking at on that one. So that's about it. So we'll just have to have to see on that one. With you on that, Runkle. She's a somewhat dodgy. Yep. I just don't know, right? Because the thing is, even if somebody's a bad person, doesn't mean that they can't necessarily be correct, right? So, yeah. What, you don't want a $75 vagina candle? Yeah. I don't have much use for that. I don't think anybody else does. But, if she's selling that kind of stuff, it's like, okay, that's some huckstery behavior. I would certainly cross-examine her on that if I was the other side. Because, yep. So, yeah, we looked at that one. I was told that if my dog hurts someone on my property, immediately responsible. That depends on your local laws. Lots of different laws apply as to dog liability. Some places, apply different standards. So, yeah, that's just something we got to look at. This is another interesting point here. Interesting, she has to get on the stand for a civil injury case. Peter Trago said, yep, she will have to get up on the stand. And that is going to be fantastic to see, because I wonder how she's going to be as a witness. We'll just have to see. You never really know on trials until it shakes out. Because I can tell you, I have run some trials where I 100% thought that my client was guilty. 100% thought that that there was no way my client was going to win. And then mid-trial, I'm finding out that my client is 100% in the right. So you never know, right? You just have to see that. When does the Rust trial start? I'm not actually sure. I got to look that up. Rust trial start date. April. Oh no, the Resurrected movie has an April date, but they don't have a date on the trial. It doesn't look like. I'm going to want to follow that one because that one's right in my wheelhouse. Yeah, we'll just have to see. So they've got a continuance from May 17th to 2024. Okay, so that's a ways out. That one I'm going to have to see and sort of see what's going on. Share those stories to people who despise defense attorneys. I have. One case, and I mean, I hate these kinds of cases, right? So I had a case where a guy was accused of SA against his children. And there were several children, all with the same story. And I've got the very unenviable job of going through and, basically suggesting to each one that they were lying about it. And, one by one, they're denying it. And they're saying, no, 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 this is what actually happened. Until we get to the youngest of them, who says, yeah, no, this is not true. I miss Dad. Mom made us tell these stories. And then I'm like, okay. So we went back, and now I'm going back to, the next oldest. And now that she hears that, that the youngest sort of spilled the beans, then they're saying, yeah, this isn't true. And on through everyone else, and eventually all of the witnesses have said, yeah, this never happened. And I went in thinking my client was probably guilty, but at the end of the day, it was very clear that he was innocent. The Crown's closing submissions on that, the Crown, after all of that, just was like, I'm not calling any further evidence. My submissions are that you should acquit the accused. And that was the end of it. So, you never know, right? Somebody says, what happens to the mom in cases like that? Nothing. Nothing happens to mom. There were probably this was probably going to be a big issue at custody. I suspect mom probably did not get custody of the kids after that. Because, that's horrific, right? But mom didn't face criminal charges. Mom is mom's on her way. So yeah, we'll just have to see. But yeah, no, I do plan to follow up on the Rust thing. I don't know. Some people have asked if I'm going to go see Rust when it comes out. Yeah. And has to pay child support. Mom had no money. There's just no way she was going to be able to pay any meaningful support. So, yeah. People know this is talking about lingering injuries. Don't forget Liam Neeson's wife went skiing, hit her head, thought she was fine, and later died. That is a thing that happens. If you hit your head, you may have a brain bleed, and it may kill you later. So, yeah. So I'm just trying to see. I'm gonna have to pull this up on Pacer just to see when Baldwin is going to trial. But yeah, we'll just have to see. I see as of March 16th, no date has been set for it, but we'll have to see. So, all right. That is, yeah. If you hit your head, get checked. You may feel fine, but the brain has no pain sensitivity. Yep, absolutely. I was in a car accident, and one of the things I was super thankful for was there was an ambulance right nearby who actually came by and insisted on, the ambulance driver / EMT there was like, let me check you out, and was doing the, eye checking and so forth. That I was very much, I was very appreciative of it. It turned out it was fine. I'm still here and all that, but I was really appreciative of getting that check. So, are there instances where not talking to cops isn't an option and refusing to talk could land you obstruction charges and also make you look dumb? If you are required in Canada, like if you're in a situation where you are required to provide a, like to identify yourself, for example, then you may face an obstruction charge if you don't. In Canada, you may have, for instance, if you're pulled over for while you're driving, you may be required to produce your driver's license and insurance, or at least enough information to identify yourself. And if you fail to do that, they might charge you with obstruction of justice. So that that is definitely a situation, but you may not want to talk about it at that stage. I thought that was Rob's territory. Not sure what that's referring to, but maybe. Hearing in June, EDB is covering. I'm going to be covering. I'm going to be covering everything Rust related. I'm still planning on doing a review of the Jensen Ackles police statement. So yeah. What do you think of Idaho using the firing squad in death penalty cases? I am not a believer in the death penalty at all. I am not a fan for a variety of reasons. One of my university lecturers told us a story of a kid who came into surgery with a headache and a runny nose after falling off a swing. Ambulance called as it was cerebral fluid leaking. I've heard of that as well with people who have had fluid leaks out of their ears, and it turns out it was cerebrospinal fluid. That's not a great. All of that cerebrospinal fluid is supposed to stay in your head. That's where that's supposed to be. And I see people saying, I love that interview. It is a great interview. I didn't think I could be. I'm not a super huge fan. I liked his role in Supernatural, but I will tell you, I didn't finish Supernatural. It just kept going. And so I haven't watched all the seasons of it. Sorry. But I was a big fan of him after that interview. So, yeah. It's tough. Jensen is how every actor should approach handling guns on set. Yes and no. There's parts of it that I'm not a super fan of, but I like that he is at least mindful of safety. So we can talk about that aspect as well. I'm still debating whether I want to go see Rust. I will probably watch it I'll probably watch it on a plane or something just to, ensure sort of minimal dollars going to the, to that. So, but yeah, we'll go over that. I'll have to get that scheduled and, I see this. What are your thoughts on the Alabama basketball murder case? I may have to look into that one. Their star player may have brought his teammate the gun minutes before the murder. Ooh, that's a bad way to potentially get on the hook for a murder. Supernatural should have ended a lot sooner than it did. Absolutely. It just kept going. My brother was working on the Rust set, and he said the safety issues were atrocious. Dusty, if your brother would like to talk to me, please reach out, because I would love to get that insight, because it just sounds terrible. And I can do it, like, if he wants to talk but doesn't want to reveal a name or anything, we can take steps. I can confirm confirm identity and so forth, just to make sure that I'm not getting BS'd, because that can happen. But but I can protect confidentiality. I've cited to several several gunsmiths and so forth that I've talked to who didn't want their names revealed, and I've kept their names out of things. Why, with the ability to make good props these days, why would you ever have an actual weapon on set ever? First, it's hard to make good props for a lot of the different guns out there. Second, there's certain kinds of scenes and shots and so forth that you can't do with airsoft and so forth. So there's lots of reasons. And honestly, it's like we've had guns on sets without a whole lot of problems for a long time. There's actually a lot more injuries over cars and so forth than that. So, yeah. And I see Supernatural story arc was originally only for a 5-season run, and then it went to like 20 seasons. So, yeah, that I don't know how long that went, but I stopped watching after a while because, yeah. Nice chat. Thank you. Please keep doing the Mondays. I plan to. This is this is a good way for me too, because you do the weekend, you go Monday, you're feeling kind of like a drag. Now I get to hang out with friends, and I really like that. I like hanging out with you guys. I really enjoy it. So yeah, 15 seasons. That's too many seasons. It's really hard to keep a show going that long, and I never finished it. The XXX Temptation verdict was today. All three were found guilty of first degree. Ouch. And thank you for the very generous super chat. Those are people who are going to be in jail for the rest of time, probably. Rob, family law. When I was a teenager, we could go to Canada without a passport to buy beer. I think you still can if you're driving, but I'm not certain on that. Speaking of zombies, did you watch The Last of Us? I haven't. I may have to. Some people have asked me if I could do a video on some of the moments from it. I will have to see on that, but I'll probably watch it. I'm going to, I'm going to watch it probably. I'll see when my wife gets back. We'll see about watching it, like her and I. Friends, you're talking about us, right? Not Rob. Both. Great hanging out with Rob. Great hanging out with you guys. I really enjoy spending the time. So I like interacting with the chat. I like talking to you guys. It's good stuff. So yeah, it's I enjoy that. I see. Well, now you need a passport to go over the border. That sucks. I thought that was only flying. You need one still to drive. You need a passport to leave Canada in any format. Oh, that sucks. So I guess I'm out of the loop on that one. I live in Edmonton, so I'm not driving to the border because that would be a very lengthy drive. So, yeah. But what do you call it? We shall... we'll have to keep going. I got to book a flight for April. I'm hoping to go to a range in the States, and that should be fun if I can make that happen. So, all right, I'm going to wrap this up because I'm, sort of rambling a little bit here. But this is quite a nice wine. I'm going to possibly finish this bottle and have a nice chat or a nice evening here. I'm going to go do some leather work, I think. I've got some templates I've been making on the Cricut. And yeah, it's going to be fun. I hope I can make some good... I'm going to try to make a Settlers of Catan set. Lots of people have been wondering about that one. So that's what I'm going to be trying to do. Somebody's asking, where's Mrs. Runkle? She is in Mexico. I could have gone. I just had work and stuff, so I couldn't go. So she is off with a friend of ours, and she's going to be back soon. Puppies miss her tremendously. Zora has finally settled down. Zora has finally kind of chilled out because she was not happy that Mrs. Runkle was away. But now she earlier today I had a little bit of a nap just to refresh myself before we did this, and she was there snuggled right up with her head on my legs and just just purring. Somebody's asking, what is the name of the wine? It is Capsulaldo Sparking Peach. So that is the thing there. Wow. Okay, that is one very generous super chat. I haven't played video games since Adventure on a TI. Where should I start? Well, that is a wonderful world of all sorts of things. What I might recommend trying is maybe Stardew Valley. It's not super high pressure. It's very fun. I like that one. But it depends what kind of games you like, because there's all sorts of things out there. So I'm really enjoying Hitman right now, but Hitman is kind of a puzzle game with murder. Murder can be a fun puzzle, but so that's a good one worth checking there. So there's lots of if you have questions, reach out to me on Twitter, because there's lots of games I quite like, and I can go over a bunch of my favorites. Don't believe Hogue when he says that the best game is Immortality. I love the people behind Immortality, but I'm not a huge fan of the game itself. Love Stardew Valley. It's a great game. It's not a puzzle if you just kill everyone on the map. I mean, you still have to figure out how to kill them all without getting into trouble there. So, Penny Christopoulos, I was talked out of going to trial for CA. A terrible decision. Thank you for taking CA cases. It's you got to sort of do a variety of cases, because that's what comes across your desk. But I learned that you can't assume that you know who's guilty. I had a client who swore to me that he was guilty, swore to me that he had, committed the offenses, and it became very clear that it was mental illness. He was just wrong. It's kind of important on that one. I see Hitman speedruns show how silly the stealth kill mechanics can be. I haven't watched the speedruns, but I plan to at some point. All right, I'm going to go play with sharp knives and an airbrush. I will make sure, even though I've been sipping some drinks, that I apply all the proper PPE. So I will make sure that I've got, especially breathing protection when I'm using the airbrush. I see Canada is turning isolationist to protect itself from U.S. influence. Are we going to see an East-West Germany scenario? I doubt it. Most of the U.S. influence we get here in Canada is just straight up their TV and so forth. And wow. Thank you very much. That's an incredibly generous super chat. Thank you. All right. Hopefully I hope to be able to share with you guys as well. I've also got to edit and finish narrating I recorded a video of making this thing, spellbook. So I'm going to finish narrating that just so that people can know what I'm doing. It's at the speed ranges from 7.5 to 50 times, just so that you can see what I was doing, but you don't have to wait for the 12 hours of work that went into this. I'm hoping to get that posted tomorrow, maybe. And yes, it's finished. I just got to get the video finished so that I can put that up. I'm hoping for tomorrow. And then that should be a fun video. Anyway, and I see Law Nerd Amber, I'd commission a grimoire. They're more work than they look, but we can talk. All right. What is it? Thank you all. Really appreciate everyone, hanging out here with me, and we will see you guys next Monday. All right. Good night, folks.